This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Victory Friday on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Big win for the Bombers last night in Montreal as they get to 6-4 on the season. And now a few days off and then preparation for the Labor Day Classic. And later on today, we will, of course, do our regular world-famous WST marble race at the end of the program. We'll actually do two. Shout out to everyone that entered in our contest, along with our friends at CoolBet. CoolBet and WST will be sending somebody to the Labor Day Classic with all of us, with the 1930 crew. Everyone that entered will be in for a second marble race where we'll figure out who's coming on CoolBet to the Labor Day game. So make sure to stick around for that. Right off the bat, you'll notice that we are back in the WST studio today, unfortunately. We were supposed to be at Breezy Bend. And I will say this, I feel absolutely gutted for everyone out at Breezy that has been working so hard to put on an amazing event. They were ready, the course was looking phenomenal. And then Wednesday night, that insane storm that rolled through and hammered, especially the west side of the city, dropping 4 inches of rain on Breezy, made the course unplayable yesterday. And unfortunately, early this morning, we found out that round one was not able to be played today. The Manitoba Open has put it out. I've got a note here from Brendan Baldwin, who we had on the show on Wednesday, the tournament director. Unfortunately, the Open has been postponed due to unplayable conditions. The event is now a 36-hole event. It is going to be played tomorrow and on Sunday. Tee times will begin tomorrow morning. The action will get going at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow on Saturday. Now, if you did have Thursday or Friday tickets, you're welcome to use those tickets on Saturday and Sunday to spectate the event. They said the forecast is improving for the weekend, and we're very excited to welcome families out for Family Day tomorrow. On Saturday, kids under 18 get in free and receive a free hot dog, chips, and a drink. And listen, we'll see Eric Comrie, Braxton Kuntz making his professional debut. All these amazing players that have come to Winnipeg and have been sitting around waiting to get on the course for the last couple of days will finally get to do it. Fingers crossed tomorrow. But just really unfortunate that the first 2 rounds weren't able to be played. And we're pulling for Mother Nature to help us out a little bit and, get at least two great days of golf out at the Bend for the PGA Tour Americas. Mike McIntyre will join us a little later on. We'll get the latest on that situation with Mike. But we are going to start it off with John Hodge. He's going to join us in about 20 minutes. We'll break down last night's big win for the Bombers. And, of course, it's CEBL Championship weekend as well. Joey Slattery will join us before 2 big games tonight down at Canada Life Centre, 5 p.m., the East Semi. And then the Sea Bears and Calgary Surge, 7:30 p.m. Winners to meet on Sunday in the championship series. After that, we'll welcome in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton for the weekly NFL Notebook, hit the CoolBet lines, and then not one but 2 marble races coming up at the end of the program. So it is going to be a big one today. Great to have you all with us. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, a huge thanks to CoolBet for their support at WST, allowing us to send one of our listeners with us out to the Labor Day game. Of course, our friends at Princess Auto as well. Rolly's Transfer and St. Vital Dental Center, Manitoba Battery, Canadian Club, Aikens Lake, F Apparel, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, who are back this weekend. Bark at the Park is tomorrow at 6 p.m. And the Fish are back tonight to open up this series. Assiniboia Downs, our friends at Breezy Bend. Of course, we'll get to a Why Not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And as always, do fan feedback for our friends at fansfirst.ca. Michael Remis, how about that last night? A little bit of Brady ball for the Montreal Alouettes, and the Bombers go to 6-4.
Big win for the Bombers. And yes, Brady Oliveira, we've been saying, get him the ball. Well, what it took us was Nick Dembski and Jareth Stearns being hurt. Also without Dalton Schoen, so a number of receivers out. Brady Oliveira, the MOP, the guy, and he was certainly that last night. 210 yards from scrimmage, 137 rushing yards, 73 receiving yards. Got into the end zone. First 100 rushing yard game of the season. And when the game needed to be put away, they put the ball in Brady's hands. 10 touches in the fourth quarter, sealing it for the Bombers, who've had some trouble holding on to big leads the 2 weeks before this. So, look, it was against, the Alouettes' fourth-string QB. The Bombers did give up some big plays to Hollins, including the trick play. But, hey, it was a win. They're keeping pace here with Saskatchewan and, BC surging, Calgary hosting, Calgary's up there as well. So, the West, very tough. Nice performance there. In the offense, look, no turnovers. Turnovers have been a problem for them on offense. They look good. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the receivers. Nick Dembski, big hit, smacking his head on the turf. And how about Jareth Stearns, who's really emerged this season as a nice offseason signing? Man, the fact that he even held on to that ball after taking that hit across the middle, real impressive stuff. And didn't even mention Chris Streveler, who stepped up in their absence.
I want to talk about Chris Streveler. We'll get to Strev in a minute. Listen, Zach Collaros, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, this team needed to go in, need to tighten up a few things. They needed to execute, but most importantly, they needed to not give the Montreal Alouettes any big breaks or big opportunities via turnovers. And they did exactly that. They took care of the football. I mean, would you have liked the red zone efficiency to be a bit better in the first half? Absolutely. But, with a fourth-string quarterback coming in, and Morgan, it was fine. I mean, they made a couple big explosion plays in the first half that really got tightened up later on in the football game. But they didn't make it easy for him. And, playing the field position game at times was a smart one. I mean, we pretty much laid out yesterday when we were doing the cool bet lines on the picks. I mean, thinking the under. Brady Oliveira over rushing. Zach Collaros probably wouldn't have to go for 300 yards. He was 262, but an incredibly efficient 27 of 31 that included a drop. So Zach had a really, really strong game, exactly what the team needed. And there were guys that stepped up in the absence of guys that were already out of the lineup. And then, of course, in the second half, when Dembski and Stearns were out. And you mentioned Chris Streveler, Remis. How long have we talked about? Wouldn't it be cool to see Chris Streveler out on the field at the same time as Zach Collaros? It was a couple years ago that they changed the rules in the CFL so you could have two quarterbacks on the field at the same time. And we've barely seen that at all. Now, with all those other guys out, Chris Streveler, and we'll get to this with John Hodge, who to me is just the quintessential football player, was out there. Caught a pass. Unfortunately, there was a time count violation, so that was all for naught. But he was out running a couple routes and out blocking as well, Remis. And I got to tell you, going into Regina against the first-place Rough Riders, I would love to see Chris Streveler get a little bit more involved in the offense and have him out there, get the ball in his hands a few times and see what he can do. You're certainly not losing anything when it comes to blocking when he's out there. And he's a guy that I think can help this team make some plays. The energy he brings is huge to the field and obviously the huddle. I loved seeing Streveler. You don't like the circumstances that created it, but I have to admit, I do wonder if we might start seeing a few more packages with Streveler out there. In fact, before I hit that to you, let me put it to the chat right now for the Why Not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Would you like to see Jason Hogan unleash a little bit of Chris Streveler in the Bomber offensive packages as we get into the Labor Day Classic? Let us know in the chat. Where are you at on that?
I'm curious what they're going to dial up because you're just down 2 receivers that we think Schoen will come back now that he's eligible. He did practice. We'll have to wait and see. And Corcoran's come in and had a tough go, drops, took a penalty. He's a rookie. Is there some way they can bring in a veteran receiver if Stearns and Dembski are going to be out long term? O'Shea had no update after the game, said he hadn't seen them. But they do play. It is Thursday, or it's Friday now. They do play Sunday, so they have some time to recover. So that's something we're going to be monitoring heading into the Labor Day Classic. And look, Terry Wilson stepped in at short yardage. You like that speed there? Certainly brings another element. And you saw a couple every second and 3, Huss, now in that game last night. You're wondering, what are they doing? And Brady Oliveira getting a lot of the work there. And could Streveler contribute in ways other than quarterback? I'm sure he could. So certainly interesting from a perspective. Could you have him throw in a package? Could you have him run? Could you have him catching balls, which we have seen? It's intriguing for sure.
I'm here for all of it. And it is important to note, Strev did play receiver for a bit at the University of Minnesota. He just seems to be like a guy that will do whatever it takes to help his team win. And right now, I think there's an argument to be made that there's a spot for him maybe outside of the position under center, to help make some plays at times. Even if we're talking about getting on the field for 10 to 15 plays in a game, and maybe he gets 2 or 3 touches offensively, his presence out there, I think, makes defenses take notice. And he certainly is a guy that's willing to pay the price, get his nose dirty, and do what it takes without the football, I would suggest, to help a guy like Brady Oliveira make some big plays. So big full marks to Chris Streveler for popping in when a team needed him in the second half. And listen, full marks to the Bombers in the second half, Remis. I can tell you that at halftime, with where the score was, being a tight game, and the Bombers, I guess what it was, 16-10, and then Montreal got that field goal, but we knew that Dembski was out and Stearns was out. You did wonder, okay, will the Bomber offense be able to sort of stay on the field? Will they be able to be better than they've been in the second half recently? They certainly were. It started with the quarterback, Zach Caleros, but maybe the most impressive drive, and one of the most impressive drives of the entire season, was that 81-yarder that ended up with Brady Oliveira going in, that included Chris Streveler being out in a number of packages, but some great passes by Zach Caleros, but really led by the bulldozer in number 20.
Yeah, that was the MOP game for Brady Oliveira. When Dembski's out, Stearns is out, you're throwing him the ball, you're handing him off the ball. He was the guy, and as you mentioned, 10-play, 81-yard drive, finishing off with a touchdown. The defense stepping it up, getting a turnover on downs. And Sergio Castillo, we didn't even mention just how money he is, how you don't have to worry about him. You can trot him out from any distance, which we've seen this year. Maybe the Bombers are settling a bit too much for field goals, some short ones there, and 13 and 20-yarder. But he's good from distance. He hit the 35-yard, hit a 41-yarder. He's excellent. So the Bombers' defense, getting the 2 interceptions there. The offense, not making mistakes, giving it to Brady. It was a very nicely done game, and a game that they should win, and they did win. And now they're on a 2-game win streak here, heading into the first-placed Rough Riders. So we want to see how they're going to do Saturday, but nice to enjoy this one. And I guess next week will we see Demario Houston. We already talked about Schoen. And one guy we didn't talk about, who we spent a lot of time talking about, Peyton Logan, his debut, wearing number 4. I actually didn't know what number he was going to wear. It's Adam Bighill's old number. 3 kick returns for 55 yards. He had 1 4-yard punt return and 2 catches for 10 yards. You have to think he'll get integrated more as he, gets more comfortable in the offense and coming back from his injury.
Yeah, a lot of comments in the chat. May as well get right to fan feedback, brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market with no added fees what you see at fansfirst.ca is exactly what you pay. And Bomber games now on Fans First, which is a good thing because with now 10 straight sellouts, soon to be 11 straight sellouts with the upcoming Banjo Bowl. If you have extra tickets or you're looking to get some, fansfirst.ca, the place to do it. Just looking at some of the chat, Mary Jane is feeling me. What I'm saying about Strevler is so true, Huss. Dawn, yes, free Strev. Phyllis, he fuels the energy of the Bombers for sure. Son of Dirk, release the Kraken. Named Strev. Derek Schmidt, get Strev out more. Just don't take away from Brady's carries and Seabreeze. Excellent win yesterday. Put Strev in as needed. Murray Sisler saying we don't bring in NFL cuts anymore. Well, the cuts will all be being made. I mean, the preseason is underway right now. They haven't really done these big cut downs yet. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a player or two on their way to Winnipeg after that is finished, if they can get that done. Fan feedback always brought to you by Fans First, by fans, for fans, no fees. All right, let's hear what the Bombers had to say after the game. Listen, this was a Brady Oliveira game, quintessential Oliveira last night. Here's what Brady had to say about his performance in the big team win.
I say it every week, man. I just want to help this team win games. This is a massive game for us. We really need to win. Obviously, face a lot of adversity. Proud of the guys for stepping up, and so you go out there and honor your teammates. You know, and that's why you have teammates. When guys go down, another guy's going to come in, make the most of your opportunity, and honor your brother that has fallen. And I think that's exactly what we did. Proud of all three phases, and we battled. We really battled.
Wondering with you don't really get those yards without the help of your O-line. Just talk about those guys. I know they've taken some hits this year, but they seem to stand pretty tall tonight.
That's a really good Montreal defense. That front seven is really good. They're stout, they're physical, they play the game the right way, they're coached up really well. For our offensive line to go out there and do what they did, I think they may be hearing a little bit of criticism, us not getting back to our ways. That was a huge confidence booster for them, knowing that they still got that in them. I got so much confidence in them every single week. They're coached up so well from Marty throughout the week that I have total confidence when we go out there every single week to take the game over. Obviously, when guys go down, we feel like thing's got to be on our back, and that's exactly what we did. Just super proud of the guys. They made it easy for me, man. I was just making my reads and running hard, running behind my pads, but yeah, that offensive line, man. Love those boys. They did it all tonight.
That dude was on a mission last night. What a phenomenal performance by Brady and the offensive line, as he just mentioned. And I mean, one of the most encouraging things I think for Bomber fans from last night was that performance in the fourth quarter. That was Blue Bomber football. I mean, that was the old squeeze the life out of the other team, one first down at a time, and every single time they had to take down Brady Oliveira, the Montreal defense was getting further depleted. Here's what Brady had to say about the way they were able to put the game away in the fourth.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's a great feeling. You want to put that thing away and be a big part of why, you can win games, and it's fun, man. They know we're going to run the ball, and our offensive line is just getting off the ball, moving guys, and we're still being productive, staying on the field, getting first downs after first downs. Just super proud of the guys. We battled, man. We really did battle. Can't say enough good things about the guys up front. They made my job really easy tonight, and yeah, it was a fun win.
All right, all smiles for Brady Oliveira after his huge performance. 210 combined yards from scrimmage for Brady, leading the way for the Bombers in their victory last night. Zach Caleros was tight. 27 of 31. A very, very efficient game. Exactly what you needed from your quarterback, given the situation. No turnovers. Here's what QB1 had to say about the Bombers' 6th win of the season.
Just happy we won the game, obviously. I thought we were resilient. I thought we did a great job with the adversity we faced. For the offense, especially losing a guy like Nick Dembski, he does a lot for us. He's invaluable. With what he brings to the table, obviously as a guy with the ball in his hands, and then just directing traffic out there, and just his understanding of the game. So losing him was big early. I thought we did a good job of stepping in there. Joey Cochran did a good job of stepping in, and then obviously losing a guy like Sternsey, another guy who's super smart guy, super tough guy. Throwing in Chris Trevler, and being able to piece together the second half. Just very, very proud of the group for being able to do that.
A lot of complimentary football played last night, and a lot of compliments from the quarterback running around. He mentioned Nick Dembski and Jared Stearns going out. The Dembski play, really unfortunate. It was a pass out to the flat that ended up losing yards, ended up hitting his head, and was obviously not himself afterwards. You hope that he'll be able to make it through concussion protocol and be available for the big game next weekend. I would say that I have just based on what we saw last night on the television, the Stearns hit was a heavy one, and he was really favoring his shoulder afterwards. We'll get an update this week, but I guess the hopes are, based on what we saw, that maybe Nick will be able to come back sooner than Jareth, but that'll be a topic for next week. Caleros did talk about the challenge of winning that football game without Stearns, who's become a pretty reliable guy for him, and of course Nick Dembski, who means everything to the Bomber offense.
It's challenging, very.
For someone who doesn't play the game, how difficult is it to bring somebody in? I mean, you also had Peyton Logan contribute, you had Dylan Mitchell contribute, but also you really leaned on Brady at the end. I think it was trademark Blue Bomber football where you kind of won the trenches a second. How
yeah, again, I think Brady will be the first to tell you that a lot of those chunk runs, the offensive line did a really great job of paving the way there. Obviously, he's special with the football in his hands, so I think being able to almost run that out was huge for us. And then obviously, to add to the Brady comment, just his awareness of the pocket and understanding protection, being able to get out in the flats, being able to get down to check downs, and then what he can do with the ball in his hands after getting us, first downs or getting us close to the first down. So Chris can come out there and get the first down for us.
All right, Zach Caleros on being able to make something happen with those two of their most important players. Here's Zach on getting a bit of momentum going now with back-to-back wins.
It's important. I don't know. Can't say that it carries over to next week. Every week is a different challenge. I think we got, is it Labor Day next? Yeah, SAS next. So they're having a great season. Obviously, going out there and playing in front of that crowd always, presents challenges. So, we'll enjoy this tonight and see what the roster looks like, I guess, and try to figure it out.
So there's Zach Caleros. So let's quickly hear a little bit from Mike O'Shea. Here's what O'Shea had to say about his team's big win on the road.
Yeah, I like the way the guys stood up. I like the way the offense sorted everything out at halftime, made sure everybody knew what they were doing. It wasn't perfect, but it wouldn't be in those circumstances. How about Strevy going out there and running routes from the slot like a stud that he is? Awesome. I thought it was excellent. Something you can certainly build on.
Over 200 yards from scrimmage from Brady. What did you think of his game?
Yeah, especially that fourth quarter, I thought he ran really hard. The offensive line did a great job leaning on him all game, and then it paid dividends certainly near the end there for sure, which is what you need in this kind of game, right? It was good job getting down there and scoring too at the end.
All right, let's get one more from the coach, and John Hodge coming up in just a minute. Here's O'Shawn just managing the roster after losing key players on offense like Stearns and Nick Dembski.
Yeah, I thought it functioned really well. Like I said, it's not without a couple hiccups, but I wouldn't put it on the personnel changes like that. I think there was a couple miscues, but I mean, they go in at half, they know what's going on, they sort it out very quickly, they communicate it with the players on how it's going to do, and guys are, like I said, guys are stepping up. Strev's like, I can do this, I got this, I got that. Guys are like, no problem. A young guy like Joey Corcoran, he studies and learns different positions and is available to do different things. KC too, young guy again. And then Peyton Logan, first game on the roster, right? I thought overall just an excellent. It should leave them with a good understanding of what they're capable of, right? They can do more.
You got Peyton for a reason. What do you think about his debut? He seemed like he was proved his versatility in the return.
Yeah, he's fast. And we just got to get him a little more help and get him the ball a little more too, right? But we're trying to see how to use him, right? He's on. This is the first time he's on, so it's a little tough.
All right, there is a smiling and happy Coach O'Shea. Bombers 6-4 after the win last night, 26-13 over the Montreal Alouettes. We'll get the John Hodge 3 Down Nation breakdown coming up in just a minute. Remo, just before we bring John in, how did you enjoy the broadcast and the new noisemakers that the Alouettes fans were bringing to the table?
Man, so like they had before the horns, and it was the most annoying thing ever. And there's some guy leading the charge on this who wants to be the most obnoxious person in the stadium. Okay? And so they told him you can't do that. So now they have these sirens, like you think it's an emergency vehicle coming through every 2 seconds. This should be illegal. This guy should be banned from the stadium. It's terrible for TV. I'm looking around at home thinking there's emergency outside. Okay? Get this guy out of there. Get him out of the stadium. Shouldn't be allowed. Should be illegal. Give him a ticket. I don't want to watch anymore. Did the Bombers go to Montreal anymore this season? They do not. I'm not watching anything more of their home games. I'm done. Sorry, Montreal. I'll follow it on the website.
I wasn't going to let that rant wait for the end of the show. We needed to get it out. Yeah, it is obnoxious is the perfect way to describe it. All right, John Hodge is coming up right away. Folks, if you got a move coming up, make sure to holler at our friends at Roley's Transfer, family owned and operated for over 60 years in Winnipeg and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Check out their website at roleys.com. And if you click on request an estimate, make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount for WST listeners on moving services and moving supplies. And then simply let them know when you're moving, where to, and what needs to go. And the friendly staff at Roley's will turn it around with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on Roley's, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more, request an estimate today over at roleys.com. A lot of smiles in those Bomber post-game interviews, and rightfully so. Reminded me of all the great smiles coming out of our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. I know Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff have mentioned and welcomed many WST listeners in. Always hear great things. I'm a client as well. Wonderful spot. And they've got a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's. Convenient free parking right behind the building, and a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups all the way to things like dental implants. Whether you're 6 months to 99 plus, St. Vital Dental Center's got a spot for you and your family. Find out more online at stvitaldental.ca and go and make an appointment today. Hey, big win last night. I said maybe after the game last night, there'd be a few Bomber fans that would be cheering a Bomber win with a victory shot. Well, nothing better than the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And if you head out to your local Manitoba liquor marts right now and look for Canadian Club, you'll find a special limited edition Blue Bomber label bottle. See it right there. Beautiful drawing of Princess Auto Stadium, the Bomber helmet, Canadian Club, the 1858 original. So Bomber fans, get those before they are gone. And while you're there, make sure to keep your eye out for the Canadian Club Club Pack, CC and Ginger Ale, the Citrus Smash, the half and half, been a huge hit this summer. And there's still plenty of time to enjoy that as well. Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Find it today in that special Blue Bomber label bottle at your local Manitoba liquor marts. And here we go for another Manitoba summer weekend. Labor Day coming up next week. Still time to get out and make the most of the nice weather. But before that, you'll want to stop at Manitoba Battery for all your battery needs, for your boat, your camper, your ATV, you name it. As Donnie always says, wake up, Winnipeg. Stop paying more for batteries and get inferior service at the big box stores. You can shop local, get the best prices in town, period. Saving up to $60 a battery with the great service of Manitoba Battery that includes free delivery anywhere inside the city of Winnipeg perimeter with any purchase over $60. So pop by and see them in store, Logan Avenue, Dover Court Drive, or order online for free delivery at manitobabattery.com. All right, Mike McIntyre still coming up in hour 2. Right now, though, let's talk more Bombers with John Hodge of 3 Down Nation. John, they found a way to get it done. Montreal, not a place that they've had a lot of success. down a bunch of injuries, but the bottom line was going 1-0 this week. They're 6-4 now, heading to Regina.
Yeah, this was almost a must-win game for the Bombers. And I don't mean that because their season would have been over had they lost it, but the cards were so stacked in Winnipeg's favor, right? Over an 18-game season, you're likely to get a game where the odds couldn't be stacked more against you, and you typically get at least one where the odds are stacked heavily in your favor. And so when you go into Montreal, the Alouettes are just coming off a trip to Vancouver. That's the toughest road trip in the CFL, Montreal to Vancouver. They are only playing on 5 days of rest, one chance to practice, and they're starting their fourth-string quarterback. Like, you look at those circumstances and you go, okay, this is the type of game that teams dream about drawing, right? Yeah, must-win game. You go into Montreal, you got to handle business. And they did, right? Like, I remember talking to Brady Oliveira after the team's very narrow win over Ottawa last week, and he said, yeah, we're making things really hard on ourselves. Speaking about the 17-point collapse, speaking about, the turnovers that happened in the second half. And the Bombers didn't make anything hard on themselves last night. They ran into a little bit of problems. I know we're going to talk about this with the receivers getting hurt. But when you look at how this team, 0 giveaways, when you look at them making all of their field goals, when you look at them doing all of the little things right. They had a couple of explosion plays they gave up on the defense. You don't love that. But by and large, this team, especially offensively, played mistake-free football. Zach Collaros, one of the team's best players, played like one of the team's best players. Brady Oliveira, one of the team's best players, played like one of the team's best players. You got to love that. You got to respect that. And they come out of Montreal with a fairly one-sided win.
I do want to get to Zach and certainly what's happened with the receivers, but we'd be remiss if we didn't start with Brady Oliveira. An absolute monster game by Brady. And it had been funny. I mean, he hadn't had a ton of touches. His average was still good, but it just seemed at times they were having a tough time finding the right time to get him the ball. Last night, it was early, it was often, and he made the coaching staff look pretty smart for those decisions. What a performance by 20.
Yeah, I mean, 25 touches. You can't argue with that. After the third quarter, he had 15 touches, and I took to my social media and I said, okay, this is a game where the Bombers, they're on the road. They're playing against a tired opponent. They're up on the scoreboard, right? This is the perfect opportunity to pound the rock in the running game, regardless of who's in the backfield. But guess what? You've got the league reigning MOP, and you're up 3 points, by the way. They're up 16-13 heading into that fourth quarter. And I asked, how many touches will Brady Oliveira get? And I got bombarded with replies from people being like, they're going to give him the ball twice. He's only going to get the ball once. He's going to, because that is something that has been touching nerves in Winnipeg, is fans feeling like, especially late in games, Brady Oliveira is not getting the ball enough. And I would also say that I'm in that camp to at least some extent. I agree that the team has not done a good enough job of utilizing their bruising MOP running back late in games. Well, Brady Oliveira got 10 touches in the fourth quarter last night. It helps that he was rolling. You got to give credit to the offensive line. You got to give credit to the scheme. You got to give credit to everybody, of course, doing their part. But sometimes you just have to rely on your best player to be your best player. And Brady Oliveira is that. I mean, going back to Grey Cup last year, he didn't get enough touches. I mean, at the last several Grey Cups, I don't think Brady Oliveira's got enough touches. And Mike O'Shea will say post-game, well, but the opponents are stacking the box. Like, we're not going to run the ball, stack against a stacked box. And it's like, okay, on the one hand, I understand that. I appreciate that. If the defense has 6, 7, 8 hats in the box, and you know that they're going to overwhelm your blocking scheme, it makes sense to throw it. Well, the passing games, at least in the past few Grey Cups, has not worked well. At times this year, the passing game has not worked well. I think there's something to be said for, at times you can audible or you can adjust out of those run looks if the defense is trying to take it away. I also think there's something to be said for, you're trying to stop Brady Oliveira? Well, good luck. We're going to run the ball anyway, and we're going to bring in extra hats as well to try to prevent and offset what you're doing. And physically, I thought the Bombers took over that game late. Again, I think Montreal being on a short week plays a little bit into that, but the Bombers aren't in charge of the schedule. They can only beat the team that's in front of them, and they did a good job beating them down late in that one to close out the game.
Well, and you know what? I mean, just to your point, the biggest reason why they were able to give Brady 10 touches in the fourth quarter is that when he was getting the football, he was moving the chains and they were staying on the field and they were going back out for first down and they would give it to him again. I mean, I think back to those, like particularly last year's Grey Cup. It's very tough to get touches when you're on the sidelines. I mean, the defense was on the football field the entire game, and sometimes you'd go out, you'd run it, you wouldn't convert, and the punter's coming out, and that was really problematic. But yeah, wanted to start off with Brady because he had an absolutely monster game when they needed it the most, especially in the fourth quarter when the receiving core was absolutely depleted, John. What did you make of the two injuries late in the first half and how the Bombers handled the loss of Dembski and Stearns in the second half?
Well, I mean, when you dress 6 receivers and you lose 2 of them in the second quarter, that is a big challenge to overcome. Joey Corcoran, team's 5th-round rookie out of New Hampshire, came in, had a drop and a penalty, not what you want to see from your backup. So Chris Streveler, right, as we've seen him do, and keep in mind, Chris Streveler, it's a long time ago now, but he did play some receiver at the University of Minnesota, has played a little bit of receiver since returning to the CFL with the Bombers back in 2024. Comes out, he was targeted once, caught the ball, the play was blown dead, unfortunately, so it didn't hit the stat sheet. But, I mean, Chris Streveler, I don't think you could say enough about him. Like, his blocking ability on some of those plays was unbelievable, helping spring Brady Oliveira late. And I don't know if this is a hot take, Huss, but this was something we were talking about in our 3 Down Nation group chat. I honestly think that if Chris Streveler had played in the 50s and the 60s, even in the early parts of the 70s, like, he would be a Hall of Fame type player, just given how good he is at the sport of football. Most guys, and obviously we're in an era of specialization where, you know, a guy who's a tremendous jack of all trades, it's harder to stand out. But his ability to block, his ability to hit, his ability to catch, his ability to run, like and obviously know the offense well enough that he can pop into all these different roles is remarkable. And I don't know if Chris Streveler's ever played defense in his life, but I would be willing to bet decent money that if you gave him some time and you said, okay, you're going to, in 3 weeks, you're going to start at will. Like, you're going to start a weak side linebacker and you're going to run around on teams. I bet you Chris Streveler would nod. He'd say, thanks, coach. And he'd go out and he would do a good job. I'm not saying a great job. I'm not saying he's going to be league all-star, but I think he could do a good job at will, maybe even Sam. So I think that Chris Streveler deserves a ton of credit, and Zach Collaros deserves a ton of credit. I thought he did a brilliant job getting the ball out quickly last night. I thought he was tremendously accurate. Obviously, the numbers say that. He went 27 of 31 with a drop. So, like, how can you argue with that? So, offensively, a very impressive game for the Bombers, and I thought they handled those injuries very well.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you said about Streveler. I mean, he, to me, just defines, he is the prototypical football player, if you will. And I mean, I know he is a quarterback, but he is an athlete, and this guy loves the game and wants to do things to help his team win, and we saw it last night. My question for you, John, is, might we see more Chris Streveler in some new packages and new situations that we haven't seen before? There's 2 very big games coming up against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Wouldn't be the worst time to maybe open up a few new pages of the playbook that maybe we haven't seen before. And listen, to your point, I think this is a guy that will do whatever he thinks he can to help his team win. I mean, is this something you think the coaching staff might consider more of? And might we see more 17 in the offensive packages, not playing quarterback in situations maybe where they aren't down 2 receivers like they were last night?
I mean, I don't know if they might do it. I think they should do it, right? I mean,
I'm so here for it. We talked about it for 2 hours after the game last night with some friends.
Like, CFL roster sizes are not generous, right? And especially since they, a few years ago, changed the rule to allow multiple quarterbacks to be on the field at the same time. I think that any opportunity you can utilize your extra players, right, to hurt your opponent in such a way that you previously couldn't, and take advantage of unique talent on your roster, I think is wise, right? I don't know if you want to put Chris Streveler out to run routes and take Carrick Weedfall off the field. I don't think that makes you better. But is there a way that you can utilize him with what he does so well, running around in motion, being physical? I mean, we saw it last night when Tyler Snead, slot back for the Alouettes, caught a pitch from James Morgan and fired the ball down the field for a 45-yard completion. Why don't we see Winnipeg do something like that with Chris Streveler, right? He's a guy who can genuinely hurt you with his legs catching a pitch like that. And if there's room for him to stop and throw the ball and he's got a receiver open, why wouldn't he be capable of making that throw? Like, there's a million ways that Chris Streveler can hurt you, again, with his legs as a physical runner, but also an elusive runner. Like, he's got speed to get the edge. Like, he is an unbelievably multifaceted, multidimensional player. And again, this is an era of specialization, right? This isn't generations ago where a guy, and we've seen it in famous, Hall of Fame player bios where it's like, oh yeah, this guy started 17 games at quarterback, and he also was 1,000-yard running back, and he also caught 9 interceptions this season, and he also kicked 38 field goals this year. And you're like, oh my God, like that would be Chris Streveler, right? If you went back decades. And I think that obviously that era has passed. We're never going to see a guy who's starting in all 3 units and is doing X, Y, and Z, a million things. Maybe we're getting a little bit back there with a guy like Travis Hunter potentially playing both ways in the NFL. But that era, I do think, is largely gone. But can you take advantage, right, to at least a little bit stronger extent, some of what Chris Streveler is able to do? I think the answer is yes, because I think you're bang on, Hus. If you were to have football player defined in the dictionary, you just put a little video of Chris Streveler highlights beside it. It's like, yeah, that's a football player. He's running, he's throwing, he's hitting, he's tackling, he's blocking, he's doing everything you want. And there is no, like some guys will make business decisions, right? When it comes to the physical side of the game, it's like, yeah, you know what? I want to keep cashing checks a few more years. I'm not going over the middle of the field. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Chris Streveler is the antithesis of that. If you asked him to play nose and absorb double blocks from the offensive line, he would do it and he wouldn't complain, right? That is Chris Streveler. So I'd like to see them use him more.
I mean, just on the surface, and John, we saw it last night, from a blocking perspective, if he's in there, I mean, you are not losing anything. In fact, I'd probably argue that over most of the receivers in the Bomber lineup, you will have an improved blocking impact with Chris Streveler in. And listen, he might not be running 25 and 30-yard routes down the field, but if you can do just short, like the thing that was really tough to see was that down offside on the play that they did throw it to him, because if there's one thing we know, he's also alone and a hell of a hard guy to bring down. So, I mean, I think there would be some serious returns on him, not to mention the energy of him in that huddle with that team certainly wouldn't be a bad thing for the Bomber offense.
Absolutely. And we saw the Bombers try it once last night. Unfortunately, it didn't work with the time count violation. But Chris Streveler's out there anyway. Well, take Zach Collaros off the field on 2nd and 2. And it's like, okay, you can read option where either Brady or Strev is taking it, whoever has the better look, or you can RPO and pull the ball from Brady and have, Strev run a boot. And now he's potentially getting the edge, or he's firing a 4-yard pass to an open receiver sitting in an open zone. Like, there's a million things you can do with Chris Streveler. And with a long week now, of course, the Bombers playing Thursday, they won't play again until Sunday of Labor Day weekend. You've got all kinds of time, all kinds of opportunity to put things in the playbook. And these are also veteran guys. It's the other thing. It's not like Chris Streveler is a wet behind the ears rookie. Like, this is a guy who's now been in professional football this is year 8, right? This is 4 CFL seasons. I think it was 4 NFL seasons. Like, he's seen it all, he's done it all, and he can do it all. So why not get more creative, especially as you laid out, without an update yet on Nick Dembski or Jareth Stearns going into that Labor Day Classic?
I got to tell you, a lot of intrigue going into Regina next weekend. We'll see whether they unleash the beast a little bit more and get Streveler out in some more packages. Other side of the football, I thought, and you pointed this out in 3 Down in the wrap of the game last night, the sack totals weren't there, but the defensive line, I thought, had a real impact and did what they needed to do to not give Morgan any time to really be comfortable and get in any sort of a groove.
Yeah, I think Winnipeg generally did a good job against the run, and yeah, there were disruptive plays. I mean, Jay Person tipping the ball at the very last second, just disrupting that last throwing motion from James Morgan, I thought was huge, right? That was, I believe, the second quarter. And that was the reason why Evan Holm was able to make that interception, right? And that's a perfect example of sometimes something appears on the stat sheet. And I'm not saying that Evan Holm doesn't deserve some credit for making that pick, but I mean, he basically became a center fielder, right? And the ball was popped up into the air and he was able to just stand there and kind of wait for it to come down. Whereas the reason that play was possible was Jay Person disrupting the throwing motion of James Morgan. And it did look like there was a little confusion between the tight end, Regis Sibasu, and the left tackle, Nick Callender, as to who was picking up Jay Person. But all you can do as a defender is take advantage of mistakes when they're there. And I thought that's what Jay Person did. He exploded upfield and he timed his SWAT perfectly doing that. And then Willie Jefferson, I mean, 2 knockdowns, took 2 plays away, but one of them was the third down gamble that the Alouettes tried late in the game. And obviously on, I think it was a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. That's a down that likely the Alouettes are to put the ball in the air, but they're also likely to throw a relatively quick route. And so knowing that as a defensive lineman, okay, the odds if this ball's coming out quickly that I'm going to be able to get there for a sack, very low. But what I can do is get my hands up and disrupt throwing lanes and potentially even tip a ball and kill the play. And we know that Willie Jefferson, among defensive linemen, is quite literally the best ever to do it in the CFL. And so sometimes the sack totals aren't there. And I do believe that the Bombers need to do at least a little bit of a better job at pressuring opposing quarterbacks in the second half of the season. That said, there are times where on the stat sheet, you can have a goose egg in that sack category and still have had your defensive linemen have impactful plays. And I thought that both of those 2 defensive ends had very nice plays last night.
Staying with the defense, John, a lot of talk on the secondary and the changes there. How do you think they held up last night?
I thought generally well. The 2 things that stand out are the explosion plays. The first one was a double move. And I think that Dexter Lawson Jr., and I've talked to CFL coaches about this, just has to be a little bit more disciplined. Like on that particular play, the Alouettes kept in Regis Sibasu, who's like listed as a slot. For all intents and purposes, he's like a classic fullback tight end. They also brought in Tyler Snead to block, one of their receivers, and an additional receiver. Like they had 8 people protecting James Morgan. And so when Alexander Hollins takes off on a route and bends it quickly, you can't jump that route because as a defensive back, you should look and say, okay, Montreal has 8 protectors. They would not have 8 protectors and only 3 receivers downfield if their plan here was to get the ball out immediately. I need to be more pragmatic and I need to be a little bit less aggressive. Instead, Dexter Lawson Jr. looked like he hammered onto the football, and that allowed Alexander Hollins to get behind him. And there was no extra help deep. I obviously don't know what exactly the coverage was. I'm not in the huddle. But as soon as Alexander Hollins got by the corner, that gave ample opportunity for James Morgan to hurt Winnipeg's defense down deep. The other deep shot, I give the Bombers a little bit more leeway on. That was the trick play, right? The receiver pass from Tyler Snead down the sideline to Alexander Hollins. And I thought Trey Vavel was in decent position. He just didn't time his hands very well. He got them up a little bit late. Didn't look like he realized the ball was on its way. So with both corners getting hurt last night with those deep plays, I wouldn't be surprised if Demerio Houston was in the potential plan. Houston at practice this week said, I need a chance to knock the rust off. But other than that, I'm ready to go. Like my body's good. I'm healthy, all those things. And obviously, I don't think the Bombers would go through the potential off-field drama a little bit associated with bringing in a guy like Demerio, who they've been dropped, but was also charged with domestic violence. So to me, I think that it wouldn't be a surprise. I don't know if it happens in Labor Day or not, but eventually to have Demerio Houston take over that boundary corner spot and maybe move Trey Vavel to the field side. All in all, I thought the defense did well, but they have to limit these explosion plays. This team gave up 2.1 completions of 30 yards plus through their first 9 games, and they gave up another 2 last night. They are now tied for most allowed in the CFL, and that's not a place where you want to be as a defense.
No, and we certainly know what the Riders are capable of hanging around the corner after they, of course, play Saskatchewan or the Calgary Stampeders on Saturday night. Speaking of that game, John, coming out, certainly the second half was better. I mean, they didn't wilt like they had the last couple, and they won somewhat comfortably. But we're moving up a few weight classes, going up against the number one team in the league next week. How do you think the Bombers approach practice, and where will the focus be on in improving and getting them ready to go at it with the team that, as of right now, only has one loss on the record?
I mean, obviously, the first thing you have to contend with the noise. Like, this is going to be a sold-out game at Mosaic. The Riders are also now adding standing room only, which is something they did last year. Like, there could be 34,000 people at this game. Yeah, the game in Montreal last night was loud, but there's only 20,000 people there, right? Mosaic is a bit of a different beast. Mosaic isn't always like that, but it's always going to be like that for Labor Day, the same way that Banjo Bowl brings out the best in Bomber fans. Yeah, the Winnipeg has sold out the whole season so far, credit to them, but Banjo Bowl is always going to be the loudest game of the year. And Labor Day is the same. So you got to contend with the noise, and offensively, that could be a big challenge. I think the Bombers are going to be focusing a lot on getting those snap counts, those silent counts ready to go. I think you have to have all of your ducks in a row. Like we talked about mistake-free football last night. I think you have to be even cleaner, right? You have to play a really clean game. What does it mean to play a clean game? Well, first of all, no giveaways. Secondly, you got to limit your penalties. Thirdly, you got to ensure that you are all on the same page when it comes to assignments, right? Like, I'll give an example. The Ottawa game a week and a bit ago, late in the game, the Bombers are trying to seal this one. They're up a touchdown. First down, they hand it to Brady Oliveira, and they have a complete bust. Michael Wakefield, the 3-tech on Ottawa, storms upfield unblocked and kills Brady for a 2-yard loss. Now it's 2nd and 12. Like, this is a perfect example of being assignment sound. If one of your offensive linemen doesn't know who he's blocking late in the game on first down when you're trying to run the football to close out a game, that is not acceptable at the professional level. So snap counts, you want to ensure that you're playing mistake-free football, and then be assignment sound. I think those are all things you're working on. And wouldn't it be great if they sprinkled a little bit of Chris Trevler? Though I will say, we don't know this yet, but last night was game number 6 for Dalton Schoen on the 6-game injured list. And Dalton Schoen did practice once this past week. So I will say, some of the, if you're a Bomber fan who's fearful of what this receiving corps could look like in the Labor Day Classic if Stearns and Dembski aren't able to play, both former Riders, actually, now that I think about it, it does look like Dalton Schoen could be available for the Blue Bombers. Not saying he's guaranteed to be, but it looks like it's a reasonable possibility he would be, and obviously he'd be a huge boost.
Yeah, of course, Peyton Logan making his Bomber debut last night, getting a few touches, including being involved in the return game. Schoen and Houston potentially going in, and obviously we'll be on Dembski watch along with Jared Stearns all next week. Hey, before we go, Bisons got into it last night. Preseason action. First year with Stan Pierre. It's just so bizarre not having Brian Dobie being the guy, but of course Stan's been a huge part of it. I know you got a preview of their upcoming season. Jackson Tuchinski coming back for his final year as a starter. What are the expectations for the Bisons, who had that great season last year and then just face planted in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, you talk about mistake-free football. I think the Bisons committed, I think it was 4 giveaways in that game, and that was the difference. Like, the Rams didn't do a whole heck of a lot offensively, but yeah, when you self-combust in the playoffs, that's what can obviously happen. I think that it was only field goals, 28-25 in that Hardy Cup semi last year. But yeah, the Bisons couldn't get it done. I mean, right now, this is the number 1 ranked team in Canada West. Canada West has the most parity, however, of any conference at the U Sports level, at least in terms of football. So we'll see. I mean, nationally, they're ranked 8th, and I think there's a ton to like offensively. You've got the reigning Canada West most outstanding player in Jackson Tuchinski back. He was in training camp with the Edmonton Elks as a receiver. He's now back to the quarterback position, and Braden Stubbs, who led the conference in rushing last year, is back. 4 or 5 starters are back along the offensive line. The receiving core is not the most explosive. Like, I do think this will still be a run-first team. That said, they run the ball exceptionally well, and they throw the ball well enough to get by. Defensively is where I have some questions about this team. Essentially, the entire secondary is gone, either graduated or not returning for 5th years. And defensively, like along the line of scrimmage, Obviously, this team, like Colin Cornelison, who was with the Bombers the first half of the season, is no longer with them. He's aged out. Nick Thomas, who is a hugely impactful linebacker for them the last few years, he's also aged out, another CFL draft pick. So fortunately, that is the unit that new head coach Stan Pierre is very familiar with. He's still the defensive coordinator in addition to being the head coach. So coaching wise, I think he's going to have his ducks in a row. And when I interviewed Stan about it, he said, look, like, this is just part of collegiate sport, right? Sometimes you have a group of 5-6 guys at the same spot who all leave at the same time. And on the one hand, that's not optimal. On the other hand, you get the added bonus of their shared experience while you have them, right, as veterans. Last year, they had veterans on the defensive side. This year, they're very young. So I do think there'll be a little more pressure on the Bison's offense to produce this year relative to last year when they had a bit more of a veteran group defensively. But we'll have to wait and see. I think this is a team that absolutely has the potential to repeat as the number one team in the regular season out of Can West. They played a lot of close games last year, so I don't think it's going to be a runaway. But obviously for them, I think they are a playoff team. And the most important thing will just be, let's take advantage of our opportunities in the playoffs when they come, right? Finishing first in the standings doesn't mean anything if you lose your semifinal at home. So regardless of whether they're 1, they're 2, they're 3, they're 4, I think they will be in the top 4. But regardless of where they finish there, they got to be at their best come playoff time.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was a real disappointing end of the season last year, but they've still got a lot of horses in that room. Really excited about Stan getting the chance to be the head guy for the first time this season. And to your point about Canada West, like, if you haven't been out to some of these games, I really encourage people to go out. I mean, the games are, and they're always crazy. I mean, 42-39. I mean, to your point, even when the team was 7-1, they're winning these epic games. There's comebacks. Really is never a dull moment. And I can't wait to see what happens when things get going for real after the preseason game last night. John, you have yourself a great weekend. Hopefully we can catch up either before or after the big weekend next week up in Regina. Are you heading out for the game?
I'm not this year. I did last year. I'm not this year. Hoping to get back next year. Because there's nothing like Labor Day in person, right? There's nothing like it.
We're looking forward to being out there. You have a great one, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Cheers, Huss. Anytime.
All right, great stuff with John Hodge. You can check out his write-up at 3 Down Nation. And don't forget, our next time at Princess Auto Stadium is the sold-out Banjo Bowl. Of course, Princess Auto, great partners of ours and supporters of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the home of the Bombers, Princess Auto Stadium. Of course, Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon. You can always shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Big cheers to our friends at Aikens Lake who are back on the water right now, welcoming guests after about a month away due to the wildfires. They're biting right now, folks. If you're thinking about planning for a world-class fly-in fishing trip where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot. Already booking well into next year. But they do have some availabilities before the middle of September. So if you want to make the most of summer, holler at them, aikenslake.com. Let them know you heard us talking about it on Winnipeg Sports Talk. They'll hook you up with the 10% discount for any availability for the remainder of the 2025 season. And I do got to shout out our friends at F Apparel. Guys, the fall is just around the corner. If it's time to up your menswear game, hit them up at 190 Smith Street downtown. Custom suits starting at $400. Chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles, and the best selection of men's accessories in the city. If you are getting married, by the way, fellas, or in a wedding party, make sure to talk to the guys at F about a special discount for the wedding party when you get your suits for the big day at F Apparel. They're waiting for you downtown, 190 Smith Street. You can find out more and make an appointment to come in for a fitting at F, that's EPHapparel.com. All right, let's welcome in Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press. Mike, what a bummer. We were supposed to be sitting down together live at Breezy Bend following along the PGA Tour America's Manitoba Open, and you're at home, I'm at home, and all the golfers are at home.
Yeah, I get we could have done the hit maybe like from a canoe on the 18th fairway, given the amount of water. I was talking to Brendan Baldwin earlier today. Breezy Bend, in the last week or so, they estimate that they got over 6 inches of rain, over half a foot. And that would be tough enough. The fact is they, prior to that, of course, we were getting no rain. So they had been watering the course a lot to get it ready for the Open, try and grow the rough out. So, the course had quite a bit of moisture in it already, man-made. And then Mother Nature decided to open the faucet. I've seen some comments, people wondering, why isn't the course playable? My course in X part of the city is dry. Breezy, and its proximity to Headingley, they got nailed in a way that most of the city did not the other night. I follow a guy on social media who's a meteorologist, and he was posting the rainfall amounts, and the west part of the city got absolutely hammered in a way that most of the city did not. So, yeah, this is just the worst possible timing. I'm writing a story today on kind of what's been happening behind the scenes over the last couple of days. It's quite the tale, actually. You can imagine how hard everyone has been working, and the disappointment that they weren't able to get off the tees yesterday and now again today. So they'll play 36 instead of 72. It'll be a 2-day event instead of 4. And hey, Huss, for the first time ever, a Winnipeg Jet player made the cut, sort of. He'll play the weekend anyways.
Hey, let me ask you about that, because actually making the cut is really important in this. And specifically, I'm talking about Braxton Kuntz, who's making his professional debut. I believe I was told that if Braxton made the cut in this event, he then skipped the stage of qualifying for the Corn Ferry Tour. I do wonder, they're going to play 36 holes, but will they essentially put where the cut line was? So for players that needed that sort of validation for it, get the credit for doing what they had to do at least over 36 holes?
They will, because the normal, if you don't make the cut, you don't make any money. You don't get paid.
Sure.
So they're still handing out the full purse, and they will treat it at the end of Sunday as if there was going to be a cut. And where the money stops being paid out is where the cut line will be. So yeah, technically everybody will play the entire tournament, which is just going to be 2 rounds now. But yeah, for kind of statistical purposes and financial purposes, there will still be a cut. So, what this does in my eyes, Huss, golfers always talk about, just got to have one good week, get hot for 4 rounds and you can do something pretty special and, have a career altering moment. Now for these guys, you just have to have one good weekend, 2 good rounds, catch lightning in a bottle. And to me, it really opens it up. I would think, no offense to Eric Comrie, but the other 155 guys that are going to be playing in this event, they got to be thinking, I could go and win this thing. I just need to have 2 good rounds. Don't worry about
a heater.
Yeah. Basically, and again, no offense to Eric Comrie. I think even if Eric Comrie played beyond his wildest expectations, he's still not winning the tournament. Nobody's under that illusion, of course. But yeah, why not Braxton? Why not anybody? And so, there's disappointment for sure. It was interesting to hear from Brendan, a lot of the Winnipeg community has stepped up to kind of find things for these guys to do. Cause you got all these pros, and some of them are we played in the Pro-Am the other day with a guy from China. There are pros here from halfway around the world who they can't even get out on the course and play practice rounds. But, I heard some fun stories. Say guys went to the Golf Dome. Guys have gone to the Rec Room. There's going to be a lot of guys at the Gold Eyes game tonight and tomorrow. Shout out to Andrew and company. They came through with a lot of tickets for those guys, so they'll get to see Shaw Park. And, they've found some things to do. Some restaurants have stepped up offering these guys meals. So, I know that they appreciate it. It's Winnipeg kind of showing off its best qualities, and the timing couldn't be worse. Like here we go from a summer where drought and fire and smoke have been dominating the headlines. Who would have thought that the Manitoba Open would be rained out for the first 2 rounds? Like that was almost implausible until recently, but just the perfect storm, like literally in this case, came together. But yeah, I'll still be out of the course this weekend, and it'll be a mad scramble. And one of the crazier things, Huss, that's going to happen now on Sunday, because there's no cut, because it's just a 2-round, like everyone is playing in the same group that they originally set to play in. The winner of the tournament could literally happen in the first group of the day or the last group.
Of course.
They're not shuffling the deck.
Yeah, it's like the Live Tour. It's like a shotgun start.
Right. So, I mean, there could be a guy, like they're going to tee off 7:30 tomorrow and Sunday. The winner of the tournament could drain his final putt like 6 hours before play concludes on Sunday, and he may not even know that he's got the score that's going to win. Like it creates a wild scenario where normally by the weekend you've got that structure, and barring a guy coming, hugely from behind, like who the contenders are. Well, the contenders will literally be all over the map here this weekend, which kind of adds another element of fun to it all.
It'd be wild. Say you got a late tee time on Saturday and you got an early tee time Sunday. Let's say you go off at 8 o'clock. So, I mean, it's a 4.5, call it a 5-hour round, for these pros. You're off at 1 and say you're in the clubhouse lead. Well, I mean, there could be a playoff. I mean, you got to be sitting around. I mean, you could literally be waiting 5-6 hours to get into a playoff. I mean, sometimes we'll see a guy post a number and they got to sit there and wait for a bit, but not all like of this.
No. And they're playing next week in Brainerd, which is about a 5.5-hour drive. To your point, Huss, there will be guys who know they aren't winning, who finish late Sunday morning or early Sunday afternoon. They're going to get in their rental car. They're going to drive to Brainerd. They may be at the next tour stop by the time the playoff, if there was a playoff, begins. So, and yeah, you're right. There may be a guy who's like, well, I don't think I'm going to win and I'd like to get going, but I guess I should stick around just in case. So yeah, a lot of strange scenarios in the air here.
And I mean, I don't want to get ahead of your piece in the Free, but while we're talking about this, I mean, obviously we know these guys very well. We were out there earlier this week.
Yeah.
We were planning on being there for the last couple of days, and I, like everyone, got the news yesterday morning that it wasn't going to happen, had planned for it today. I tuned on to OB because I knew they were doing the morning show from out there, and there wasn't any official announcement, but they said that there was no golfers there right now. I mean, what do you know about how difficult of a decision it was, how late they had to wait to make it, and what eventually forced this to become a 36-hole event?
Well, the biggest problem is that they got to the course really early this morning, and they thought that they were in good shape. Like, they looked at the course, and the standing water that had been an issue yesterday looked like it was gone. The problem with this course, Huss, is, as mentioned, they've grown the rough out to 6 inches. As soon as they started walking in the rough, it's swampland, and all that long grass would actually be a deterrent to drying out. So the very thing that they did to try and make the course more dangerous has actually now led to its inability to dry out in the way that it might normally have done so if the grass was a lot shorter. And so, if every guy would just hit the ball in the fairway and the green, which a lot of these guys will do, they would have been okay to play, but it's just the rough, and that's where it's still unplayable. And they were doing everything possible. They had dozens of pumps out. They've been working through the night over the last couple days, and there's still only so much they can do. As it was told to me, because Breezy is right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, all the water from the residents around there drains towards the golf course. And it's not like they can pump it out into people's backyards. So and they've got a couple huge ponds at Breezy, which essentially flooded. Like they spilled their banks, and it had a trickle effect, literally, on a lot of the holes and just saturated them. So yeah, it boiled down to basically yesterday was not as good of a drying day as they would have liked. Like ideally you would have had more sun, more heat, more wind. None of that really happened yesterday. It was mainly overcast. They got a bit of sun, but not what they needed. So yeah, it was a painstaking decision. They've waited since '93 to get this tournament back at Breezy, and the course was in pristine condition until it wasn't. So yeah, the belief is that by tomorrow, although it's still probably going to be damp in the rough, they think it will at least be considered playable. So that's the hand they've been dealt.
Yeah, just gutted for everyone over there. I have been watching all summer at the work that's gone into it.
Yeah.
They got nearly 200 volunteers that are helping put this thing on, and especially, I think about Craig, the head grounds, head of the grounds team there, who is the best in the biz.
Yeah,
and
I don't think he slept in the last couple of days.
Oh, between him and Corey Johnson, those guys probably don't have an hour between them in the last 2 days. So
he was actually Craig went to the course at about 12:30 Wednesday night / Thursday morning, like as the heavens were opening up. And he stayed, like he was actually trying to do things to, but
get ahead of it.
You're fighting a losing battle at that point, like the way it was coming down. So yeah, it's I'll say this: the crowds were always going to be better on the weekend, anyways. It would be great if there's a huge crowd tomorrow and Sunday. Like again, folks who maybe wouldn't have been able to make it out Thursday, Friday, you're going to be able to go watch Eric Comrie now on the weekend, which Jets never make it to the weekend because there's always been a cut after Friday. Braxton Kuntz, he'll be playing tomorrow. He's in that group with Eric Comrie. I think they tee off at 2:40 tomorrow afternoon. So kind of prime time, and it's family day there. It's free for kids. All the kids there get hot dog and chips and drinks for free. So I know they're hoping that maybe they can make up for a little bit of what they lost with some good crowds out for the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And listen, it's going to be, usually, once you get down to the cut, there's, fewer golfers. It's going to be nonstop all day. And
totally.
Listen, if you were considering it, get out there this weekend.
Like if you wanted to go park yourself at that 7th hole, which is the hockey hole, like you could literally watch 156 tee shots coming in tomorrow on that 110-yard par 3. You might see a couple hole-in-ones. But yeah, you're right. You would not normally get to experience that on the weekend. So silver linings, I guess.
You catch the Bomber game last night?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it was, credit to the Bombers for finding a way. The receiving core, of course, a little battered and decimated to begin with. And then
how about Strev getting out there?
Yeah. Other duties as required. So, yeah, obviously the hope is that these guys, especially Nick Dembski, the Bombers, he's been their MVP this year. They can't afford to be without. Although, good job by Brady Oliveira, of course. Like at a time they really needed him to come through. Took him a while to get going this season. Now he's got touchdowns in 2 straight games, and I know there's been a lot of hand wringing about the Bombers and. Maybe just when you think it looks like Father Time is catching up and, they maybe surprise you. So here they are now in pretty good shape. We're going to learn a lot about this team, of course, over the next couple weeks. Banjo or Labor Day Classic, Banjo Bowl. Feels like in a lot of ways that's gonna determine which way the rest of the season goes here. But they've earned themselves now a rest, which I think they'll need with some of these injuries. And yeah, it sets up a pretty juicy scenario for these next 2 games.
Mike, I've got to ask you about something that came across my feed at the end of the show yesterday. A tweet from Hockey Manitoba.
Yeah.
that, and I will just get this up just so I'm not misstating it. This came out yesterday afternoon. Hockey Manitoba announces that the employment of our executive director has been terminated effective August 15th, 2025. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. Hockey Manitoba remains committed to serving our members and ensuring continuity during this transition. Peter Woods had been the executive director of Hockey Manitoba since 2001. We're talking 25 years.
Quarter of a century.
I mean, what did you think when you saw that? Like, not mentioned by name and got the future endeavors line?
Yeah, that's straight out of the WWE playbook. So my first thought, I had to go double check that Peter Woods was still the executive director, because at first I thought, okay, surely they had like just some temporary person at the helm, because Peter Woods they'd at least name him, right? And I mean, when you're in journalism, of course, sometimes, you see some smoke and you think, okay, there's maybe got to be a fire there. And I must say, like, this raised my eyebrows. This got my spidey senses tingling. Like, clearly there's more to this. The fact that Hockey Manitoba has essentially closed ranks, and I
nobody can comment. I mean, I fired out a couple messages to some people saying, "Hey, well, what's up?" And sorry, I cannot say anything about that.
And I mean, they had to have known that the nature of the statement alone was going to raise more questions than it answered.
You think?
So, there's of course rumors and whatnot out there. I mean, it's where you have to be really careful these days. But bottom line, and I've tried to obviously contact Peter Woods, haven't been successful in hearing back from him at this point, and maybe he's not able to speak. I mean, I don't know, but for sure, I mean, this is a pretty important and powerful organization. They oversee like 35,000 hockey players. This is a guy who's as tenured as there is. And he's also, he's in the school division, the school board. Like, he's got his hands on a lot of things. And to just say that, he's been terminated, no reason why, we don't even name him. I mean, that seems extremely cold. And it does make one wonder, like, what else is going on here? So certainly efforts are underway to try and learn a little bit more about this. That may take some time. Again, kind of at the mercy of maybe what people can or will say. And I know for me personally, I'm off on holidays starting as soon as the final putt rolls in on Sunday. That starts a couple weeks of holidays for me. So I'm sure whether it's me or colleagues at the paper, we're going to continue to dig into this, because it's there seems like there's more to it.
I'm sure the bloodhound Hammer will be back from Montreal and be on it. I mean, and I just say this as someone that, has worked, done business, been part of events with Hockey Manitoba. I mean, Peter was literally there for 25 years. And I mean, listen, I'm no Big J, but I mean, my spidey senses were off the charts when I read this. I'm like, this is the craziest announcement tweet I think I've ever seen, especially when you think of the circumstances. And just from a minor hockey perspective in the city, Mike, like, we're a week away from Labor Day.
Yeah.
Like, this time of the year, the amount of things that are happening with registrations and leagues starting. I mean, I have never worked at Hockey Manitoba, but working with those guys, like, if you're involved in hockey, this period of time is the ramp up to getting everything going. It can be as busy as any time of the entire year. So, I mean, I do wonder, obviously we wonder what has happened to force this, but also how they move forward, because there's a lot going on in the minor hockey, and the game is going to keep going.
It will. And for me personally, so I was heavily involved in minor hockey for over a decade. Both my kids played. I coached them. From my perspective, both my kids have now been out. They aged out. My son went on to play high school and junior B, and my daughter stopped playing hockey. So, I mean, I haven't been involved on the Hockey Manitoba side at all for almost a decade as well. And so, I obviously had a lot of contacts at the time. And if this were a different time, I wonder if I might have heard a lot more about this, just because, this is a busy time of year and people hear things and whatnot. But yeah, right now, not a lot of folks, willing to say anything about what's going on here. But you're right. This is ramp up time. And it's interesting that release mentioned, I think it was the 15th, that it said that he was terminated. So they waited, like the messaging came out 6 days after the termination. I don't even know what happened on the 15th. Was there a board meeting? Like, was there, because there is a board. Like, did they have an annual general meeting? Was it like their summer meeting, or was there a special meeting convened? Was there even a meeting? I mean, again, I'd love to tell you the answers to this, but unfortunately, Hockey Manitoba is not saying anything, and they're not saying why they're not saying anything. Like, sometimes you might get well, we can't comment because there may be a legal process here or whatever. Like, nobody's even saying why they can't say anything, which is only adding to the mystery for sure.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I don't want to speculate like you. I mean, I've reached out to some people and just cannot comment, cannot say anything on this. So I'm sure people will have their own thoughts on it. But I think it's safe to say that this is not the last time we've heard of this entire ordeal, both how they move forward, but also what led to not only him being terminated, but also the fashion that it was released to the public, which is one that I think we'll remember for a long time. Hey, Mike, you know what today is? The 6th anniversary.
Oh, I saw Remo tweeted my column.
The 80-yard game. You remember that? The Packers and Raiders at Princess Auto Stadium. One of the biggest disaster / scams that I think we've ever seen in the Winnipeg and Manitoba sports community, at least in my lifetime.
I think I used the term debacle in my lead, and it was a debacle.
Very appropriate.
No fun league flops, yeah. Debacle of epic proportions, yeah. That'd be a good name for an indie band or something.
I wanted a 30 for 30 made on that entire thing.
Oh my goodness, could they ever? I remember I had like some NFL media. There was a lot of people mad at what I wrote, and I mean there were people just mad in general because of how that all played out. But yeah, that was quite something. Anybody that was there will no doubt remember it. I thought when you're asking me what today is, I thought you wanted me to say it's Ken Wiebe in the semifinals of the 7th flight, the 6th seed Ken Wiebe, who I believe is the highest remaining seed left in the 7th flight of the Tamarack. He's on the course right now. I was looking for some live scoring updates. They don't have it. He teed off around 12:40. There's a trip to Championship Saturday on the line for Kenny Wiebe today out at the Tamarack. He's already disposed of 2 competitors in the match play format after a bit of a sandbagging effort with his 91.90 showing to get himself in the 7th flight. That's a sandbag special, if you ask me, Huss.
Well, the thing is, we've golfed with Ken. We know that's not the case.
We know he's capable of a 91 and a 90. He's also capable of an 81 or an 80. So he tells me that his game, he blamed his putter. He always blames his putter. It's always the putter. But he said that his game has gotten in a lot better shape as this tournament has progressed. So maybe there's nothing that can stop Kenny now. And, Championship Saturday, I know he's hoping he'll be standing tall at the end in the 7th flight. I think they get a trophy or a medal.
We'll know about it. I mean, I'm surprised. He legit texted me with an update after 9 yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
He's on top. He's got his distribution list of keeping everyone up to task. We do wish him well.
I mean, I almost was going to go travel out there to cover it since I wanted to cover the Open. Like, But I think I would have had a tough time convincing my editors that the 7th flight of the Tamarack is worthy of the sports front treatment or just any treatment at all.
Ken would disagree. Hey, listen, we'll talk to you on Monday. We'll wrap the tourney before you head out for a little bit before hockey season gets going. So we'll look forward to seeing you at Breezy. Again, 7:30 tomorrow morning. They're going 36 Saturday, Sunday, all day, both days. Kids under 18 free. Tomorrow's the family day between 12 and 4. Free hot dog, chips, drink for all the kids. So get the family out. Let's support this event after a really, really unfortunate start to the week. Thanks to Mother Nature. Mike, have a great weekend.
You bet. We'll see you out there. Take care.
All right, good stuff. There is Mike McIntyre. We are getting ready for Jets season. Certainly next week, the Labor Day Classic. Folks, if you're in the market for Bomber gear for your trip out to Regina, head on over to Royal Sports. Tons of Bomber stuff, including many exclusives that you won't find anywhere else. Of course, we've got Jet season coming up. All the jerseys and new gear is coming in as well. And NFL season upon us. We'll talk to Hacksaw in a few minutes. All the latest NFL merch there for you as well. Not to mention bikes and everything else. And of course, hockey is underway. Royal Sports, the hockey superstore in town for over 50 years. One stop for all your hockey needs heading into the season right now, Royal Sports. We got some good CFL games on the docket this weekend, and Blue Jay fans tonight, the Beebs. Shane Bieber makes his debut. Great place to get together with your gang to watch that. Your local Boston Pizza, of course. Ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, CFL, Major League Baseball on the screens. Get the weekend started off right at your local Boston Pizza. And hey, if you are staying at home, you can get it hot and fresh at your door by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. Slats getting us ready for the CEBL Championship in just a second. First up, though, a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in the Slap Man because we got hoops ×2 tonight. CEBL semifinals, 5 o'clock the East. Seabears in Calgary, 7:30. Joey, how you feeling? A big night tonight for basketball fans and 4 teams competing for the CEBL title.
It's Christmas in August, Huss. I'm so excited. It's crazy. The week's flown by because they have the festival and everything else. They had the awards last night that were just unreal. Seabears and the CEBL outdid themselves with this whole event. The awards were unreal at the Met last night. I was at the commissioner's luncheon this morning, and another great networking opportunity packed with local and national businesses. And yeah, tonight festival gets underway at 3 o'clock, but everybody's looking forward to the doubleheader. 5 o'clock is the Eastern Conference Final. The defending champion Niagara River Lions taking on the 2023 champion Scarborough Shooting Stars, and then the Surge playing Winnipeg in front of what's going to be an unbelievably wild and capacity crowd.
Let's focus in on the Seabears. Listen, it was an underwhelming regular season, tons of personnel changes, but they did beat each team in Winnipeg at one point this season, including tonight's opponent, the Calgary Surge, who upset the number 1 team in the league last weekend. What needs to happen for the Seabears to be playing in front of their home fans for a trophy on Sunday?
A perfect game. Honestly, I know they beat Calgary. They had a great win. They proved that they can do it. Their last win against Calgary in Calgary was easily their best win of the year. Simi Chateau was just unbelievable. He had a double-double, 15 rebounds. And they're going up against the the best defensive team in the league. And they had 2 of their players nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. There's only 2 finalists. So it was going to be a Calgary Surge player, and it was Jameer Nelson Jr. who led the team in steals. But this is a team that needs to click. We've seen spurts of it with the Seabears throughout the season. Now there's no more runway. They just have to play the way that they've been trying to build up to. They're going to have to take care of the ball, and they're going to have to slow down Calgary in transition. And it's going to be a battle for boards tonight. Greg Brown, the third, it just goes by Greg Brown, though he doesn't like the third part. But Greg Brown is one of the most electric athletes I've ever seen. Like, definitely one of the best in this league. Showtime guy, right? He's going to throw down some alley-oops and some poster dunks. He basically gives you like 3 a game. Jameer Nelson Jr. just set the record last weekend for playoff points in a single game, 39 against Vancouver in what was a wild game. For those that didn't see it, it was a controversial end, so to speak, but it didn't take away from the thrilling game. And yeah, Calgary has been buzzing. Evan Gilliard, the second, and Jameer Nelson Jr. are 2 of the best guards in this league. They're both playing above themselves right now. And if Greg Brown is usually the guy we talk about, and Ruggsy Miller-Moore, and they are so far down the conversation right now because of these guards. They're just such a complete team, Huss. So it's going to take, all the big guns for Winnipeg to step up, particularly Jalen Harris. I think this is a game that they brought him in for. If he can come out and give you that, NBA second round pick of the Raptors type game, I think the Sea Bears are in good shape. But I think regardless, it's going to be a close one.
Who do you expect the winner of the West to be playing? Who's winning this first one?
Has to be Niagara. Scarborough, the scores don't really tell the full story with Scarborough. As much as they're playing their best basketball all year, they don't have their best player in Kat Barber, who's injured. They're playing against an Ottawa team in the conference semifinal that didn't have their best player or the 6th man of the year in Zane Waterman. So they pumped them by 33, and they had a relatively easy time with Montreal, Montreal really was the team like opposite of Edmonton this year. They started off pretty strong and kind of declined as the year went on, where Edmonton got better. But I would be very shocked if Niagara didn't get through to the final. They're looking to repeat too. They had a really tough go at the end of the season. They lost their last 5 games of the regular season because they had clinched so early. I think their foot came off the gas. They've had an exhibition game against Team Canada to try and get the juices flowing here before this weekend. But I don't foresee that being an indicator of this game. It's do or die, right? Like, this is kind of like the Final Four in the NCAA, if you want to compare it to something. And it's, single elimination, anything can happen. So, you very well could see a Winnipeg Scarborough final, but, I think the odds are it'd be a Calgary and Niagara final. But the West is a lot closer. It's also a lot tougher. The East, Niagara in the East was the first place and clinched early. And had they played in the West Conference, they'd be like battling for 3rd place with the record that they have. So just to kind of give you some context of how much stronger the West was this year.
Maybe it's just the huge homer in me, but I just have a feeling that the Sea Bears are going to win this game tonight.
Dude, I don't blame you. I was just downtown. Like, I'm doing some digital hosting for CEBL on their social pages, and I was at the festival that isn't even open yet. It's already packed. People are still setting up. They have the concert stage out there. They have a band called The Free Label. If you heard of them, they're super awesome. And I found out that would be the band playing when the game's over. So you actually have like a flow out to the arena to a massive party on Graham. And
nice.
If the Sea Bears pull that off, and I'm not trying to sound like a homer or anything, but just for the community of Winnipeg, how big that win would be, because Friday night will be bumping downtown. Like, I don't think we've seen it, at least in a really long time. This is the first time we've had an event on Graham since they've turned away traffic, and it's pedestrian traffic only. It looks unbelievable. It's going to be so much fun. I think it'll be fun either way, regardless if they win or lose. But man, if they win tonight, that's going to set the tone for the weekend. That's for sure.
Well, and tomorrow, even like with no games on, there's going to be activity. Like, tell us a bit about the festival. I know Remis's favorite artist from his youth, Sean Desmond's playing tomorrow night at 9:30, I believe.
I know Fanboy Remis is going to be out there. He's going to come on in and get ready, right? Like, they rock it in the T-dot.
Every song from the videos.
That's how they rock it in the T-dot, but we're rocking it in Winnipeg. No, they have Sean Desmond out there. Roman Clark, who's one of my favorite local artists, is going to be there too. They've got an array of different styles of music and bands, local, national. Sean Desmond being the headliner for that one. They've got vendors all over the place. Like, it's just, I can't really explain it. You have to see it, right? Like, now they've got those like Edison lights on top and those new ring lights that are all teal for the weekend. Foot Locker vendors and Electro and all this other stuff. Like, it's a vibe downtown. So if you have time this weekend, I would highly recommend going there. I mean, I used to work downtown. I love downtown Winnipeg. I'm one of those people that thinks there's a ton of potential with downtown Winnipeg. And I think this weekend and what they're doing this weekend with that festival is like a sign of things to come and what can be now that they've turned that into a pedestrian only. So I would check it out. You have nothing to lose on that regard on Saturday. It's open all day into the night. There's free concerts throughout the day, all free. Go out and check it out.
Yeah, tomorrow, basically, it's opening up officially in 20 minutes through until 11 o'clock. Tomorrow, noon until 11. And check out True North Square because the 3-on-3 hoops, this is big for basketball as well.
Yep.
And, of course, 3-on-3 in the Olympics now. So, there'll be some great action you kind of take in. There'll be entertainment throughout. There's that Champions Market, which is at the corner of Graham. What's on the other side of Carleton? I guess Edmonton Street. And then the main stage right there on Graham Street at Graham and Carleton. They got the patio there, and of course, where all the action is going to be happening in the building starting at 5 p.m. tonight. You're going to be very busy over the course of the weekend. Where can we find out more and see you more and get the latest on the CEBL Championship weekend?
So a couple of podcasts out already this week on Target Score. Target Score podcast on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, and Target Score WPG on Instagram. I also have my game day reports at Joey Slattery TV on Instagram or Facebook as well. And I'm doing the digital hosting. So the CEBL Instagram page as well, they're pumping out content throughout the week to keep you updated. So, it's very busy. I have been busy. I was covering the playoffs last week. So it's been so much fun, but I think I'm going to crash pretty hard on Monday. If I'm going to be honest, and I'll be looking forward to sleeping in on Monday. And just a note on the 3x3 or 3-on-3, whatever. I saw it today. It's already underway. It is a cool atmosphere between the in True North Square, between the buildings. It's just all these things that I just never envisioned, and kind of seeing it coming about is really impressive. And I haven't even seen it fully set up because, as you just mentioned, it opens in 20 minutes from now. So it's just hats off to everybody. This is just on my own accord. I think they've done a wonderful job. This is the biggest CEBL championship weekend they've ever had. And there's no doubt about it. It's a cool thing. And it really warms us up for Grey Cup in November. So we're getting 2 championship parties here in Winnipeg this year, which is pretty cool.
No doubt. Will you be in the dunk contest on the weekend?
Not unless it's a dunk tank. Jeez, I don't know if you could get a friggin' stack of paper under my feet anymore if I jump, man. Yeah. No dunk contest for old Joe.
There is one, though. It should be cool as part of this 3-on-3 tournament. There's the open tournament. Then there's the community tournament. They got a rec division, a wheelchair division, youth divisions, masters division. And then there will be a dunk contest and the Matt Lowen Legacy Shootout as well. So Saturday, in between the 2 dates of action at Canada Life Center, is going to be hopping in this. Yes, had some girls come up to me yesterday. Goes, "Are you going downtown tomorrow? Sean Desmond's playing at 9:30. I'm like, I didn't have that marked in, but maybe I'll check it out. No, you guys
didn't have it on your 2025
driving
calendar,
a hard bargain. I will say this about Desmond. He performed at Super Spike a couple years ago, and I was hosting the stage for that. Got to meet him behind the scenes. Sometimes these guys, especially ones that have had that level, he might have been the most sincere, nice, humble, down-to-earth guy I have ever met in that industry. And that is no joke. He was absolute gem. So anyways, that's tomorrow, and you can go to CEBL for all the information on the street festival. But get out there tonight for some hoops, starting at 5 o'clock. I believe the tickets are for both games, too, Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I should mention that, too. It's kind of like if you've ever been to NCAA, championships, it's 2 for 1. So you buy the ticket, you can get in. I think a lot of people probably roll into, halftime of that East Final. I'd say get in there for both games. They're both going to be great. But, yeah, the 7:30
we have to see who the CBears are going to be playing on Sunday. So let's scout the East at 5 p.m., and then watch the Teal do the job at 7:30. Slats, have a great weekend, buddy. We'll see you down there.
Yeah, thanks. Let's try to get Remis a Sean Desmond concert t-shirt, eh?
You know what? Signed.
Let's do it. We'll figure it out. We got you, Remo. We got you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Right on. All right, there's Joey Slattery. It all gets going, well, I guess officially in about 15 minutes for the festival. Tip-off for the East Semi, 5 p.m., and then CBears in Calgary, 7:30 p.m. I just mentioning, texting with Corey at Breezy, they are looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible out for Saturday and Sunday at the Manitoba Open. Really unfortunate start to the week and such a big event for golf in the province, but you got to move on and make the best of it. And that is what we'll be doing at Breezy Bend all weekend. Don't forget, kids free under 18. Tomorrow is family day, so free hot dog, chips, drinks. And there's been so much work that's gone into the event. Just fingers crossed that there won't be any more rain. They'll be able to get out there and see some great golf for the next couple days. More information, manitobaopen.com, as well as on all the social channels. The Gold Eyes, and we mentioned that we're looking for some stuff for some of these golfers to do today. Many of them are going to be down at the ballpark as the Gold Eyes open another homestand. This is a big weekend for the Fish, maybe the biggest of the year, because tonight it's the Soirée Francophone, welcoming in all our French friends to the ballpark. And then tomorrow it is the Bark at the Park. If you love baseball and you love dogs, this is a must attend. All the pups will be there. If you want more information on tickets or bringing your dog, go to goldeyes.com. Fish in action as well Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. And, hey, Monday, we're back at it at Assiniboia Downs. Normally, most of the summer, it's been Tuesday, Wednesday. We do have Monday live racing. So planning for next week, just know that they'll be going to the post at 7:30 p.m. Free parking, free admission. But you might want to see if you can squeeze into that clubhouse dining room and jump on that amazing prime rib buffet they do for every night of live racing. Find out more, asdowns.com. We'll see you at the track next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for live racing at Assiniboia Downs. All right, we will open up marbles registration in just a moment. We will be doing the regular marble race, and then for everyone that entered in the Cool Bet contest, we'll have a secondary marble race for everyone that entered, where we'll send somebody, courtesy of our partners at Cool Bet, to the Labor Day Classic next week with all of us and the 1930 crew. So stay tuned for that. We will get to the Cool Bet lines. Big Blue Jays game and the debut of Shane Bieber. We'll take a look at the lines as well as Edmonton, Ottawa. But let's get into the NFL Notebook with the one and only Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Saw, great to have you back on the program. We had long yesterday. Nice little raid of the O Canada crew to your show. Lots going on NFL. I know you're still talking about it was a tough weekend for your Padres last week. We were all hyped up for that Dodgers series, and it kind of ended up as a bit of a dud for the Padres.
Sorry, I have him muted. One second.
Hold on a second. Remis has you muted, Lee.
He's good now. Sorry.
I have to bring this up with production. Sorry. Start again if you wouldn't mind.
It's tough to find good help these days, isn't it? Yes, thank you. A week ago today, we were all amped here in Southern California for the Padres fight for first place with the Dodgers as they go into Dodger Stadium. And they got swept in all three games and weren't in all three games. Man, by Sunday night, what a bummer, what a letdown. But we recharged the batteries, and now turnabout's fair play. Dodgers in San Diego to meet the Padres. They're only a game out. And this is a critical series because these two teams, once they get through Sunday night, they're going to play a lot of garbage on the schedule. I mean, everybody's playing the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks and some of these people the rest of the way. So this is a critical series. But the Dodgers are hitting on a lot of cylinders. They're getting their unbelievably gold-plated starting rotation back healthy. I can't trust the Dodger bullpen. That's a night-by-night experience, more times bad than good. The Padres starting pitching, though, has got a lot of thin spots right now because they got some nagging injuries. And outside of the 13-game winner, Nick Pivetta, I'm not sure that you're going to get quality starts out of the Padres starters, but they got a gold standard. They got six-pack. You can identify with six-packs, can't you, in the bullpen. I mean, they are really loaded there. And the fact that these games are going to be played in downtown San Diego, where they are the second biggest draw in all of Major League Baseball, over 42,000 fans per game, and it's crazy. It's like an NFL playoff game every minute of every night at home. So huge series. And these two teams, there is so much history just in the last 2 to 3 years. Bitter rivalries, confrontations, big upsets, beanballs, brawls, umpires, managers trying to get at each other. Man, there are so many check marks on this rivalry that are so outside the realm of normal baseball. So it's going to be fun. If you're following the standings, follow San Diego, Los Angeles, because this is a really critical series with about 30-plus games to go in the season.
Hey, Saw, for some reason your video's frozen. If you want, just click out and pop back in if you wouldn't mind. So we can have both when we're getting into the NFL notebook. While Lee does that, he's mentioning the playoff races right now. The Padres are just one game back of the Dodgers right now. The Brewers are sort of running away with the Central from the Cubs. The Mets stink all of a sudden after a nice start. The Phillies are running. And then you're looking at the Mariners, the Astros, the Detroit Tigers, the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Red Sox right now. And a big, big night tonight for the Blue Jays, as I mentioned earlier. The debut of Shane Bieber on the hill as the Jays head down to Miami to take on the Marlins. Saw, thanks for doing that. Let's move over to the National Football League. And I don't want to call this a turtle race, but we finally found out who was winning the quarterback battle in Indianapolis, and it is former Giant and Viking Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, beating out the former 4th overall pick in the draft, Anthony Richardson, in Indianapolis. What do you make about the decision to move away from a guy that they knew was a project, has not played very much, but when he's been in, has just been amongst the worst quarterbacks in the NFL?
Well, there's a lot of quarterback stories around the league. We'll probably get to a bunch of them before time runs out here. The Colts situation, Anthony Richardson was a high draft pick. He's a gifted athlete. Hell, he might be a better tight end and wide receiver than he is a quarterback right now. He's gone through a really tough learning curve, Hustler. Injuries, not a student of the game early on, breaks containment and runs way too early. His learning curve going through progressions, it's just been painful. And in the National Football League, I know, you got to have quarterbacking. And you can have a quarterback that completes 47% of his passes. And that's what Anthony Richardson has been when he's been on the field over a year and a half. He's also had 3 major injuries because he runs too much. So Daniel Jones is a pretty good insurance policy. He got battered unmercifully as the starting quarterback with the New York Giants. It was a bad set of circumstances. It was a terrible team that was around him. And then they let Saquon Barkley cross the bridge and go to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jones took a pounding. I think he's got 70 touchdown passes. I want to say 47 interceptions, but he's fumbled 50 times. He's been sacked 208 times in 72 games in the course of his career. So that was a bad situation in New York. I'm not sure that going to Indy is going to be a better situation, but he's going to be the starter. And I'll guarantee you he'll be more consistent and he won't make the kind of mistakes that Anthony Richardson has made. The problem they've got now is the agent of AR-15 says, we can't trust you any longer. Maybe we're going to ask for a trade. Well, the Colts can't do that. That's a high number 1 pick. And right now, I don't think there's a lot of market for Anthony Richardson. You're not going to trade what was a former number 1 just 2 years ago and have somebody give you a 5th or a 6th. So what AR-15 has to do is he's got to stay the course, become a complete quarterback, become a student of the game, and then just learn as he goes. I would think somewhere during the course of the season, Hustler, he's going to probably wind up being the starting quarterback in Indianapolis. But he's got to be better than 47% completion, and he's got to be better than being highly erratic and running and getting hurt all the time.
What's up in Cleveland? Speaking of quarterback turtle races, Joe Flacco's the guy, but they had 5 quarterbacks in camp, including 2 rookies that were just drafted. Where does it all shake out, Lee?
It's a common phrase in the NFL. If you're telling me you got 2 quarterbacks, I'm telling you you don't have a starter. In Cleveland, they got 5 quarterbacks, including the injured Deshaun Watson. At this point in time, they're making these statements which make no sense to me, that they're going to carry all 4 quarterbacks on their opening day 56-man roster. I've never seen that, and I've been in the NFL forever. At this point, Flacco is the starter at age 42. He will be serviceable for a period of time. He'll throw touchdowns. He'll throw interceptions. Can they keep him upright, not get him hurt? Because they've had problems with both their tackle positions and the offensive line the last couple of years in Cleveland. They've got nothing from Kenny Pickett. He's had a chronic hamstring, but they don't want to cut him loose at this point in time. So he's going to be in the mix somewhere when he gets healthy. He's not practicing. The kid Dylan Gabriel from Oregon played well in one preseason game, but he's been really overwhelmed. He's short. He's between me and you in terms of the size factor. If he's 5'10", then he's standing on his tiptoes to be 5'10". So he's had problems with tall pass rushers. And Shedeur Sanders, who had the one electric game, but then had the oblique injury, he's going to play this weekend. One of them is probably going to wind up having to play if something were to happen to Flacco. So Cleveland's just, it's a hodgepodge of quarterback right now. And they're just in a situation that they can't escape the trauma. The Deshaun Watson contract weighted him down. The suspension weighted him down. He's had 2 major injuries. Now the ruptured Achilles, that's weighted him down. I don't know if he ever plays again in Cleveland, but they can't get out from the contract. They take a massive salary cap hit. So worst quarterback situation in the league. They got 5, but they don't have one that's a real legitimate guy. You can say he's going to get us to the playoffs. It's going to have to be Flacco to start the season until something happens to Flacco, and then it's probably going to be one of the kids.
What's the latest on Matt Stafford with the Rams?
Well, he didn't practice for 4 weeks, and they were very closed-mouthed about the significance of a disc injury. What's weird about that is he went through everything in the offseason. He did all the OTA workouts. He took the wide receivers to Hawaii for a throwing mini camp himself, and no problem at all. He woke up one night in the middle of the night with problems with his back. I can identify with that. You probably can too. And he's got some type of disc. It's not ruptured. It might be inflamed. I don't know if it's expanded. Had an epidural. Had one workout 2 Saturdays ago, threw 68 passes. That was the first workout, and they just shut him down promptly the next day because he had a lot of discomfort. So they put him in a hyperbaric chamber that's oxygen driven to heal tissue. He spent like 10 days in that chamber every day, and it seems to have really worked. He's gone through 4 days of pretty intense practices, throwing the ball, moving the pocket, but he's not been hit. He's not played real football yet. So they got 2 more weeks to get him football ready, and they're going to have to protect the hell out of him. But he has to be the quarterback if they're going to be a Super Bowl team because he is such a winner, such a gamer, and such a stud leader. But he's not been pounded yet, and he's going to get pounded. And one of the sub-stories as it relates to the Rams, Hustler, they don't have either of their tackles. Their left tackle has a blood clot and has not been ruled able to practice. The right tackle's coming off double scope surgery in his knee, and he's been on and off the field. So when they get to opening day, and if Stafford's the quarterback, they're going to have backups at left tackle, right tackle, and that's a tough situation for a guy who's got a back issue. So Bears watching going forward.
There's been a bunch of holdouts / hold-ins. To me, the most impactful one is Micah Parsons in Dallas. Is this a standoff right now? Very strange with the relationship of Jerry Jones and the agent. Maybe just a quick thought on that and anything else on the holdout scenario, scene that you think people might need to know.
Well, it's really bizarre in Dallas. This looks like it's an ego standoff between Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. Jerry circumvented the agent and negotiated all these dollar values and length and term and all that. And then Micah Parsons' agent says, how come I was excluded from this? That's not the way you do business in the NFL. And Jerry Jones said, you want to come talk? And the agent said, no, we're not going to talk about the contract that you jammed down my guy's throat. Well, that contract's worth $41 million per season. Parsons hasn't practiced at all, and we're 2 weeks out from the start of the season. He's got to be on the field. And Jerry just keeps talking. He loves to hold press conferences like our president here in the United States to hear himself talk. And I think he creates more havoc by doing this. Normally you do this behind closed doors and you solve the problem. He just said yesterday morning, Micah Parsons owes me 3 years. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and we want him to play on the terms of that contract. And if he doesn't want to sign what he agreed to, I'll just franchise tag him for 2 more years. Holy cow, that's like throwing gasoline on a fire. So that's a big issue. The Washington situation, Terry McLaurin, he wants a big payday. He's making $21 million, I believe. He's had 5 good years there. But at the end of the day, he wants a pay bump to like $35 million, and Washington says no. And his response is, I played with 12 different starting quarterbacks you gave me in Washington. I put up all these numbers while we had bad seasons. I deserve to be paid. So that thing is a bit of a standoff there. I don't know what's going to happen in Pittsburgh. And the great defensive tackle, Cam Hayward, he made a deal last year with the Steelers who had a salary cap issue. He said, I'll play at a lower price this past season. If I have a good season, we're going to reopen talks. We had an unbelievable season. So he's come back. He says, You need to follow through on the promises we made. I helped you. Now it's your turn. You got to take care of me. At this point, they haven't been able to close the gap. He's grossly underpaid, as is Cincinnati's pass rusher, the elite guy, Trey Hendrickson. Here's the thing to keep in mind. In New England, their general manager, part of the new regime under Mike Vrabel, Eli Wolf. In New England, the way they used to do business was nobody talks to anybody about anything. Eli Wolf held a press conference yesterday and said, we have $60 million cap space. I have multiple number ones. I am open for business. We're going to make a trade. Hendrickson might wind up in New England where the Bengals get a number one and the Bengals get safety Kyle Duggar. That's one of the rumors that's out there. So Hendrickson might be traded. I don't see McLaurin being traded. And Jerry Jones can't trade Micah Parsons because that guy's such a cornerstone of the team. So that's where we are. Show me the money. Holdouts.
Hey, this is a bizarre story, but reported earlier this week that last year, Andy Reid, burning the midnight oil in his office, has a bullet go through the glass 15 feet away from him. This is crazy. Shocking that it's only coming out now, Lee.
Well, they kept it covered up pretty well. Now, this was not at Arrowhead Stadium. This was at their practice facility, which is adjacent. That's only a 2-store building. And Andy Reid was burning the midnight oil on a Wednesday night at midnight, looking at video in May. And somebody drove by and just pumped shots into the second story of the practice facility. One of them hit an air conditioning unit. Another went into an empty office through a window. And the third one went through Andy Reid's office, 8 feet above him into the wall. I mean, you talk about shocking. Now, they kept it quiet. They obviously have never been able to find out who perpetrated it. It was late at night. Maybe there wasn't any video that worked the way it happened. They have since replaced all the windows in that practice facility with bulletproof glass. So it's a scary story. And I mean, can you imagine at work alone in a darkened practice facility, just doing what you normally do, what coaches do? They work every crazy hour there is, and suddenly have something come through a window and lodge in the wall, and it's a bullet? Holy cow. So Chiefs have addressed it. Kansas City police have no answers for it. Yeah, scary part of society, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, being such a big Andy Reid guy, I mean, anyone shouldn't have to deal with that, but it was a little jarring, to hear about that. And of course, but for Andy, just nose down to the grindstone, getting ready to try and get back to the AFC Championship game for another season and get back to the big one as well. Saw great talking to you as always. This is a huge sports weekend in and around here. All eyes on Major League Baseball, NFL preseason, and more. Fill people in on what the weekend has to come at LeeHacksawHamilton.com.
Well, if you like sports, I write about it every day of the week. It's absolutely free. It's there first thing in the morning. You check my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com, and go through every page. It's all written. I produce that stuff every day of the week. And, of course, we have the YouTube channel. When you're done listening to Mr. 1919 and Boston Pizza Guy here in Winnipeg, check my YouTube channel out, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. We kind of do a really different type of podcast. I like to say we do sports talk the way it should be done. But like what you've done, and by the way, if you don't like what I do, that's okay. Blame him. He's the one that introduced me to Podcast Hustler did years and years ago. So when you're done watching All Things Winnipeg, come across the border, watch All Things with us. Just type in YouTube, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton.
The only guy that comes close to working as hard as Andy Reid, 24/7, 365, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Have a great weekend, dude. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks as always.
1919 to you. Thanks, man.
There's Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Make sure you're giving him a sub on YouTube and check out the site, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. All right. Looks like everyone's got their marbles in, but fire that up right now. If you haven't, we've got 2 marble races to get to, so we will get to that right away. So last call for marbles. Remo, if you want to give them a moment and then just start pulling them up. We'll do the main race first, and then we'll finish it off with the Cool Bet race for everyone that entered in for a trip for 2 with us to the Labor Day Classic with the 1930 crew. All right, let's get to the Cool Bet lines. And by the way, we nailed that Bomber game last night. Bombers to win, under 48.5. Brady Oliveira over the rushing total. Zach Caleros under the passing totals. It was a was a very good night for cool bettors and people in the lock shop on that Bomber game. Let's try and keep it rolling tonight. It's the Elks and Red Blacks in Ottawa. Fajardo versus Dustin Crum. The Elks, who opened up as a slight dog, are now 3-point favorites in this game. Elks minus 169 on the money line. And Ottawa, 3-point dog, plus 139 on the money line at home. I was interested in what the passing totals for this game was. Cody Fajardo's is 282 and a half, and Dustin Crum's 240. That's actually moved. Crum was 232 earlier when I was doing the lock shop, and Cody's, I think, was about 290 or so. So those numbers have kind of come to more reasonable spots as well. I am thinking a little Justin Rankin tonight. His total actually has come down from 55 to 51 and a half. I think I might hit the over on Rankin. I do think the Edmonton Elks should be in a good position to be playing with the lead tonight, and I think that'll lead to a little bit more Justin Rankin. Tomorrow we've got a doubleheader. The BC Lions are in Toronto. Nathan Rourke and the Lions, 3.5-point favorites, minus 200 on the money line. The Argos plus 160. And 3.5-point home dogs. And then the finale of the week. This is basically a pick'em. Riders and Stamps. They do have the Riders listed as 1-point favorites, but the money line is simply minus 116 for Sask and minus 104 for Calgary. Now, Hammer and I did put together our CFL 110 parlay earlier this week. We kept the Bomber game off of it, so it's still up there for you. And this one's a pretty simple one. We like the Elks to win tonight. No point spread, just Elks to win. BC tomorrow to cover 3.5 in Toronto. And the Riders to beat the Calgary Stampeders. That one is plus 459. If you put it in yourself, it's boosted to plus 524. And a good reminder to tune into CFL 110 and jump on these earlier, because I do think when I originally bet it and it was put out initially right after we put it out, the total on this one was, it was plus 638. So again, we always get a nice number and a nice boost, but if you can get on the lines early, you can get locked in. And then when they change the way they have this week, you're still locked in at that better price. But again, the CFL 110 parlay is Elks and Riders to win, BC minus 3.5. You can get that in the combo cards. Over to Major League Baseball. We got the Jays tonight in Miami to take on the Marlins, and it is time to unleash the Biebs. Shane Bieber making his first start for the Toronto Blue Jays. Minus 182 on over 4.5 strikeouts, plus 121 on over 5.5 strikeouts. He's looked great in his rehab assignments, and he now returns to play for the first time this season and the first time for his new team. If you're looking for some props on the game, total bases is always a favorite of mine. Bo Bichette, over 1.5, basically even money, minus 103. Plus 219 on over 2.5, which I might take. And heck, why not go over 3.5 for Bo, plus 376? Probably my favorite. You got a bunch of home run props as well. Maybe we see our guy Alejandro Kirk go yard again. Plus 563 for a Kirk homer. Varsho, who's been real hot lately, he's plus 531. Again, the pitching matchup tonight, Ryan Gusto for the Marlins and Shane Bieber. Toronto minus 164. Moneyline favorites. Marlins plus 140. And if you do like the Jays on the run line, you can get that just about at even money. Jays to win by 2 or more is minus 104. Lots of NFL preseason action. Even got a few U.S. college football games. But let's finish off the cool bet lines with the CEBL playoffs. 5 o'clock downtown, it's Scarborough at Niagara River Lions. Scarborough is a 3.5-point underdog, plus 130 on the money line. Niagara, minus 175 on the money line. And then it's Calgary and the Sea Bears. Calgary is a 5.5-point favorite. Sea Bears plus 175 to get the win tonight. I got a feeling about the Sea Bears. I will put a little sprinkle on them. And in case you're wondering about the futures for the event, to win the championship, so to win today and then win on Sunday, Calgary's the favorite at plus 125, Niagara at 3-1, Scarborough plus 425, and the Winnipeg Sea Bears, the longest shot, 5-1. But they just got to win 2 games to do it. They've beaten all 3 of these teams this year. So let's see if that home cooking and that home crowd can power the Sea Bears into the finals on Sunday and maybe, just maybe, win it all. It's all there waiting for you at coolbet.com. If you haven't played at Coolbet before, use the promo code WST when you make your first deposit. We'll hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200 on that first deposit. And in the future, you'll be eligible for great contests that we do with Coolbet, like the one we'll be giving away in about 5 or 10 minutes after we do our first marble race for everyone that entered for the Labor Day Classic. All right. We are past 3 p.m. It's been a very busy week on the show. A big win for the Bombers. Spirits are high heading into the weekend. Fingers crossed we get this Manitoba Open going well tomorrow and on Sunday. But right now, let's get to some marbles. And before we drop any marbles, before we see the race, before we even know how many marbles are in it today, we do need to start the festivities with the one and only Tristan Rivers music. Let's give her.
Gotta pull up a song here. 1 second. Any preference for?
Nope. Whatever one is ready. How about that one?
Okay.
Fire away. Remo, let's get this marble race going. Just while you get that up, I did want to mention the PGA Tour Championship is going on at East Lake in Alberta, or in Atlanta. And how about Tommy Fleetwood, 7 under today. Can he finally win his first PGA tournament in the tournament championship? Tommy is 13 under, tied with Russell Henley. 2 shots up on Cam Young, who had an 8 under 62 today. Bobby Mack and Patrick Cantlay at 8 under. And kind of a pedestrian round for Scotty Scheffler today. He was only 1 under, 69. He's 8 under par. But he's got 36 holes to go. He's got to make up 5 shots, and he's got to pass 5 guys. I would bet that he probably gets it done. Maybe we'll have to look at the odds after it all said and done. But anyways, let's get to some marbles. We got two races to do today. First of all, the big one. Our weekly Friday WST race. Shout out to Shipman Associates. We've got a WST hoodie for our winner today. Remo, where are we going and how are we looking? We got to put Eric Comrie in, by the way. We did promise him a marble when he joined us earlier this week.
Eric Comrie. And I put Brady Oliveira in.
Definitely Brady after last night.
Sorry. I'm just looking for the track. I want to just do the same one for both.
Sure.
I think that's a pretty good track. The Champions Fire Project.
Champions Fire Project was great. That's what we did for the tickets during the playoffs. I think because we've got such a great prize from our friends at Coolbet, we will do that. But I think everyone would like to be a part of the Champions Fire Project today.
Oh, yes, here's the... it's just such a great track. A Dylan 70 special.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
The GOAT of Marbles on Stream track creators.
Yeah.
How many marbles in?
Sorry, I'm trying to address a question from Milner in chat, who's asking about Kyle Connor. They say they're starting to get worried. They said we had some Kyle Connor talk with Ken earlier this week. I think he said don't get worried until the start of the season, right?
No, Ken said March.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would say
that's too long.
That's too long.
But anyways, let's not let August Kyle Connor contract talk get us off of our path right now, which is for the marble race.
He said
put
March?
in me in all caps. And
That's
he
crazy.
said March.
That's crazy. I would start freaking out after the puck drop.
I pushed back. Yes, if you want to talk about Kyle Connor or think about everything, as they say, like let's get to training camp. We'll see what happens. I haven't seen although Frank Nazar signed a big deal yesterday. Sort of wild for a guy that has so few games in. Was he 6'6" for 7 years?
Yeah, he's got like 20 games. And then I saw, you see the Orioles signed some catcher who's played 4 games, gave him like an 8-year, 69. Like, what was this contract? The Orioles top prospect catcher. He's played 4 games, $67 million, 8-year deal. I never even heard of this guy, and I got the alert. But yeah, Frank Nazar got the big deal, and you're seeing that. We didn't really touch on it, but Jackson Blake got a similar one with Carolina. That's what you got to do. I mean, the cap's going up. Give these guys a huge pile of money now. They can't say no. And I think it'll pay off for them in the future. He did get named to Team USA Olympic
Which was
camp.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Lane Hudson didn't, but Frank Nazar did.
Yeah. And yeah, anyway. So how many marbles do we have here? We could go on. 220 marbles.
Me and Eric Comrie and Brady.
Oh, I'll put you in. I put in Brady. I put in Brady and Eric. I forgot to put you. I didn't get to weigh in on the 80-yard classic. Shout out to Rick Ralph for coining that name, which will never die. But this was probably the highlight to come out of the 80-yard classic. Was this picture? Andrew Collier saw John Gruden, internet legend, walking around downtown, and gave him a tour of the ballpark. Didn't give him any items to unbox. It was predates the unboxing, but there he is.
The best picture I saw around the 80-yard classic was a picture of Antonio Brown smoking a joint in the backyard of someone's house in Lindenwoods about 2 hours before the game. And as we said, he didn't last very long in silver and black, if you recall, the Antonio Brown era. But that wasn't something that we put out. But now, 6 years after the fact, with everything that's happened with Antonio Brown, we can say that he certainly did more sightseeing in Winnipeg than most of the other NFL players that were here for the 80-yard classic. All right, let's do some marbles here.
Man, the 80-yard. I could talk about that for a while. Anyways, 221 total marbles in the Champions Fire Project. I think it's important to look back, Huss, on the 80-yard classic.
We need a 30 for 30. I mean, I think the guy that was in charge of putting that thing on literally went out the back door at the start of the third quarter and just drove out of town and never came back. I said it. That we need a 30 for 30. The 10-year anniversary, that'll be a WST project. We'll work with some people. We'll do extensive interviews, and we'll put together our own version of 30 for 30. Packers, Raiders, 80 yards of preseason action at Princess Auto Stadium 6 years ago today.
It's a perfect summer topic because there's really nothing else going on, and I think it's important to remember, Huss, a historic event.
Never forget.
Never forget.
All right, so this is the first race we're doing. Everyone that entered the Cool Bet contest, hang tight. We will do that afterwards. We're going to be using the same track, so you can, you'll know what's to come. But this is the Champions Fire Project, one of the great tracks. We use these for the, funny enough, for a Cool Bet playoff ticket contest here on WST. Good luck to everyone. First into the hopper, the winner will receive a WST hoodie. Shout out to Shipman Associates for that. All right, let's drop the marbles. Here we go on Winnipeg Sports Talk. I did have someone, I think it was Northside Sandwich, called the shot today and said this would be the first ever EST marbles winner on Winnipeg Sports Talk. There's been a few close calls from our friends. Oh, Mike Windog. Bounced right off the bat. Scott Westman as well. Tyson Ducharme. Marshall Caron. Oh my God, some of our favorites all getting whacked right off the bat. If you are entered in the Cool Bet contest, better to get whacked in this one than the one that's coming up next. Who do we got here? We got Rick Benson. We got, for Tanny in the mix, Mike Ledarny. Oh, Sylvia Martin. Sylvia Martin with the huge move was going to get thrown over the top rope, caught the edge, and is now in the lead right now. Can anybody catch Sylvia? Mike Todd. Oh, Todd for Tanny. What's up, Todd? It's Mike Ledarny and Sylvia Martin right now, 1-2. Mike Ledarny got through first into the spoked wheel. Now we're going to get into this cylinder with the fast drop. Sylvia and Mike Royster just got top roped. Sylvia's in first. Daryl M right now. Now Daryl's in first place. Sylvia in second. And now we get to a bunch of tubes. Oh, Mike Weary's gone. Jake Slobodian's gone. Tristan Rivers bounced. Smokey. More eliminations in this one than I remember.
Yes.
Maybe it's just happening. All right, Daryl M now has taken over the lead. He's into this funnel. Sylvia's right there. Sylvia is not going away. And Sylvia has now regained the lead. Sylvia coming in. It looks like Sylvia is going to be the first one into this orb. Turd Ferguson and Leslie Mitchnuck have just showed up. Manny Fran as well. Sylvia's first in. The key is to be first out, though. Who will it be? Could it be Sylvia? No one else seems to be too close. But again, it's whoever can get out of this orb first and hopefully get through this circle with the last few obstacles. Schickster and Bozeman, Turd Ferguson. Who is it going to be? There's Dale Berzuk.
Wow.
That was wow, what an end. You know what? Great choice on the track today, Remis. Great choice on the track. That was an absolutely phenomenal finish. There was legit 15 marbles that were right there at the end that could have won. Our top 10, Dale Berzuk, Farmer Brain. Farmer Brain's, I think, a 2-time winner. Jonathan Zander, Schickster, Moose 3, El Presidente, that's an ES tier. El Prez is going to be in Regina for the Labor Day Classic, so El Prez will have a beer there. Nice work. Stu Norm G, S2 Norm G, what's up, Norm? Sylvia Martin, who was leading for a good portion of the race today. No Frills Demo and Leslie Mitchnuck. That was our... That was your top 10. All right. Dale Berzuk, 108. Congrats. Send us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. Let me know what size you are as well. We'll hook you. We'll holler at you, and you can pick up at some point, maybe next week if it works out for you after the show. All right. Let's just roll through these results, Remo, so everyone can see where they finished.
Yeah, sounds good. Here, just got a DM from a listener on Instagram who says he's going to KC to see the Chiefs. Wondering if you had any suggestions of a good area to stay in.
Yes, I do. Well, here, let's just go through these.
I'll get that to you later.
DMs. Minnow P. Oh, that's our pal Jaden.
Yeah, Minnow 31.
Nicely done, Ron P. Ron. Saw Ron at the Bomber game. There's Cario, Candace Jane in the top 20. Pat Rathwell. Pat's ready for the 1930 crew. I think there's 2 seats left if anyone's last call wants to get in on it. There's Derek Schmidt. There's the Gitch, Sean Lishka. He's top 20. There's Bozeman. I don't know how. Oh, there's Amanda as well. I don't know how Bozeman finished 50th. It looked like he was about to win. Rob Pepper. I think he definitely beat me, though. I haven't seen me anytime soon. There's Ray, Val L. Frosty Winnipeg. There's the Jets Pope. Jets Pope's in the Cool Bet contest. He'll be ready to go. He wants to win the second race, not the first one today. Derek Honer, our final one across the board, and then everybody else bit the dust and did not. There's Dr. Terry, Roscoe. I'm sure I'm one of the casualties as well. Yep, there I am, Hustler. I was one of the first ones out. Jeez, I was the 4th marble out of the race. Not very good performance by me today. Perfect. Yes, Leslie Mitchell. I was one of the first ones top roped. Well, that's unfortunate, but I'm not going to let it ruin my weekend. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. We are going to hopefully make someone's weekend, and more importantly, their weekend next week, because we are about to run it back in the Champions Fire Project. This is a special race, and the winner of it will be winning 2 spots on the 1930 crew bus to Regina next week, courtesy of our friends at CoolBet. We've been running this for the last couple weeks. Anyone that was making a bet at CoolBet, $10 or more, screen capped it. They sent it in with their CoolBet user ID and their contact info for a special marble race that's about to happen right now. The winner of this race, as I said, will get 2 spots. So you and a friend joining us next Saturday, so a week tomorrow, we end up going, it'll be your transportation taken care of. We've got a dinner on Saturday night that's included. 2 nights hotel at the Doubletree downtown. Amazing location. Transportation to the Wayne's World party before the game, which is just down the street from the stadium. Transportation back. And of course, transportation back to Regina. So your hotel, getting around, your game ticket is all included, and a bunch of other great swag that's going to be a part of it as well. Everyone that is entered is in. 17 contestants, 17 marbles. Good luck to all of you. Thanks again for the support of WST. And of course, if you're making bets, you may as well do it at CoolBet. We got some amazing promos and such great support from Pat, Jake, and the gang. Andrew, of course, as well. So without further ado, Remis, 17 marbles. Only one will be first into the hopper. Good luck to everybody. Let's go. And let's see who's coming with us in the 1930 crew to Labor Day in Regina. I think we can start, Reem. Let's go.
Yeah, you want me to read out the entry, the people in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do that if you got the list.
I've got the list here. Each person got one limit to 1 entry. K, Eagle Eyes, Scott Westman, Dermot Crotty, Keith Dirksen, Sean Liska, Jets Pope, Lauren F, Tyriel, Greg H. Oh, I put Scott in twice. That's an accident. Okay, good thing I went over this list. I will redo it. Dermot Crotty. Oh, he's in there twice. Sorry. Let me take that out too. Riley Wiggett, Markham Fanasuk, Matthew Kanzioris, Brent G, and Derek Schmidt. So let me redo this list because I had 2 people in twice.
Excellent. I'm glad we went through that.
I'm glad we went through. I would have felt very bad if I had 2 in 2 names in twice.
Well, yeah, and then it would have been highly controversial. We would have had to. Oh, thank God we did that.
I went through the email.
That would have been a nightmare. We would have had to go buy 2 more freaking trips to do it again.
Sorry. Well, I'm glad we did. That's why you got to double check stuff, and that was us just double checking. We just did it live. So 15 people in.
All right. Good luck to all of you. 15 in. Just double check it before we press go, Reem.
Yeah, and K. Some people I put their real name. Some people I put their Scream name. One user K, his CoolBet name not safe for work, so I just have K in the chat.
I got you.
They wrote their name in the chat if you want to see.
Okay, well, anyways, good luck to everybody. We've got your contact info and all of that, so I'll be in touch with whoever wins, and we'll be heading out to Regina next week with the 1930 crew. All right, shout out to Andrew and the gang at CoolBet. Thank you again for making this happen for Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners. Remis, drop the marbles. Let's see who's coming to Regina and the Labor Day Classic to see the Bombers and Riders. Very, very big. I mean, the Champions Fire Project is an excellent one, especially if you don't have like 200 marbles.
Yes.
And as we saw at the end, I mean, it's not over until you are in the hopper. And that final one. Tyriel, Derek Schmidt, and Eagle Eyes on this side. There's Key, Jets Pope, Mark Ampf. See the Gitch right behind. He's coming in. There's Brent G. But there's K, Mark Ampf, Tyriel, and Derek Schmidt. First up. Okay, so Ty, Derek, and Mark are our top 3 right now. Heading into this one. Derek with a nice one. Tyriel. Ty just got top roped, unfortunately, and so did Lauren F. Derek Schmidt. Oh, no, the Jets Pope. Jets Pope has been eliminated. Derek Schmidt right now is in first place and making his way down into the wheel. Mark Amp in second right now. And then the rest of this crew coming in. Things have really sort of, well, it's tightened up a little bit, with the exception of Derek Schmidt. And Derek is making some pretty good time right now. Keith Dirkson's trying to close the gap. The Gitch is now entering into the mix here and getting closer. Riley Wiggett is there. And Derek is slowing down a little bit. All right, a 4-horse race right now as we get out of this funnel. Derek Schmidt in first place. But he is being tested right now by the rest of the crew, although they have screwed down. Now here comes Sean Lishka. Here comes Riley Wiggett, who will be first one in and out of the funnel. Probably Derek. There's Derek. He's first one into the funnel right now. Derek has a pretty nice lead, but as we've seen before, between this orb and the final, it is not done until it's done. Sean Lishka in second right now. He's trying to make the mix. Oh, Mark and Keith. Mark and Keith just got banged. Derek Schmidt is there. Sean Lishka is not yet in the orb. Sean is now in the orb. Who will make it out first? Scott Westman is now in. Riley Wiggett is in. Derek seems to be hanging out around that bottom, but has not made it through. All right, Derek is getting into this. Now, can he negotiate around? He is going to be, and it is Derek Schmidt. Derek, congratulations. Riley Wiggett second. The Gitch third. Westman fourth. Greg H fifth. There's Dermot Crotty. Eagle Eyes coming in. Brent G and Key still in it. But Derek Schmidt is our winner. Great regular on WST. I mean, a bunch of the people in this were. So, but Derek, I know Derek likes to have a good time. I don't know whether you'll be able to bring the baby. But you might have to tell the wife that she's got the kids next weekend because you're coming to Labor Day, buddy. Congratulations. Well done. I see El Presidente's in there. Congrats, Derek Schmidt. You might be able to meet El Presidente because we're going to be rolling through. Tyson Ducharme, Derek Schmidt is already at Wayne's World. Yes, indeed. That is some great stuff. Derek, congratulations. We got your info. I'll holler at you and make sure we've got all your details. There's a waiver that you've got to sign or whatever, a couple things for your room, so we'll get that done right away. But thanks again. That was a lot of fun. And again, I mean, Coolbet has so many great promos like the the Cabot golf trip and the things that we've been doing with poker. We'll get back to a poker tourney next month, by the way. Just slow down a little bit through August. A lot of people away. We'll get back to some, as soon as we get through the next 2 weeks of fantasy drafts, early in the week, kind of Monday, Tuesday, we'll get going with some more poker tourneys. Those were so much fun last year. But in the meantime, Derek, get ready for a hell of a weekend in Regina at the Labor Day Classic. Remo, fun week. Really unfortunate that we weren't able to do this from Breezy today, but fingers crossed that the tournament will get going and we'll have at least 2 great days of golf out of Breezy Bend for the Manitoba Open this year. And again, for people on the weekend, they will get a chance to see Eric Comrie and Braxton Kuntz do their thing because, of course, it's teeing off tomorrow and they're only going 36.
Crazy. Yeah, I feel terrible for everyone involved. So much work, so much preparation goes in for the first 2 days to be totally wiped out. Disappointing. But if you are a spectator and want to see Eric Comrie and maybe weren't able to go on Thursday or Friday, how fun would that be to see him tee off tomorrow and Sunday with Braxton Kuntz? So some silver linings there for spectators, and I'm curious to see if Eric Comrie can break the record set by Dylan Sandberg for a Jet at the tournament, but also see who's going to win. And, when we look back on this tournament in a number of years, which names emerge as stars of the PGA Tour? All these guys are pretty young, trying to break into pro golf. I think it's very exciting for everyone. And as you mentioned, these tournaments mean stuff for standings points, and now you have a bit of a crapshoot here with a 2-round tournament.
Yeah, and listen, if you're following Brax, who's going to be making his pro debut in this event, very key for him to hopefully finish at least in the top half, cash a check, and quote-unquote make the cut because it'll advance him in qualifying for the Korn Ferry Tour, which I think is one of the things on his list over the course of the next couple months. Again, kids under 18 free all weekend, and tomorrow's the family day where hot dog, chips, drink for all kids, I think between 12 and 4 tomorrow at the event. Big thanks to everyone that jumped on today. Slats, Mike McIntyre, John Hodge, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Great crew today in. Hit that thumbs up, by the way, but folks, if you haven't already. Congratulations to the marble winners, and especially Derek, who won our Cool Bet contest and is locked and loaded for the Labor Day Classic. That is going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen. Shout out to Michael Remis for getting us on and off the air today and maestroing the marbles. And I see, just to finish off, look at this, all caps, Derek Schmidt. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thanks, everyone. And then Bridget says, Derek, take Scott Westman with you. Yeah, listen, you'll be able to, you'll probably have a few takers in the chat if the wife's got to stay home with the Bambinos. But anyways, we'll talk offline and get all that done. Folks, have a great weekend. Get out. Go Sea Bears. Bark at the park tomorrow for the Gold Eyes. And, of course, the Manitoba Open. There's lots of stuff to do if you're in the city this weekend, so get out and be a part of it. We will have a full recap of a very busy weekend and get ready to start LDC week on Winnipeg Sports Talk on Monday. We'll see you then. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and thanks for hanging out with us today and all week on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.